eye care. So I'm very happy to be here, and you have our full support of the International Council of Ophthalmology. Thank you.
So again, I will share the screen. So I'm happy to thanks to the International Council of Ophthalmology. We have the President Interim, International Council of Ophthalmology, Dr. Neeru Gupta. She is also the Chief of Glaucoma Service, Professor of Ophthalmology and Vision Sciences. She is the President-elect of World Glaucoma Association, and she's Professor and Dorothy Pitts Chair, Chief of Glaucoma, University of Toronto, Departments of Ophthalmology and Vision Sciences, Laboratory Medicine and Pathobiology, Faculty of Medicine, Professor Dalai Lama School of Public Health, University of Toronto, Director, Roy Foster Family Glaucoma Laboratory, Keenan Research Center for Biomedical Science, Li Ka-shing Knowledge Institute, Founding Director, Glaucoma Unit and Clinical Research Program, Founding CEO, Human Eye Biobank for Research, St. Michael's Hospital. And over to you, Neeru. Neeru, you have to unmute.
Thank you very much. I am absolutely delighted to be with you. Welcome to everyone, for the thousands that are logging in from around the world. Thank you for being with us today as the ICO launches the World Ophthalmology Leaders Program, Leadership Beyond Borders in Ophthalmology, that takes place this weekend, today and tomorrow, in collaboration with the All India Ophthalmological Society. My special thanks to Professor Natarajan, immediate past president of the AIOS and the ICO board member, and all, of course, special thanks to our guest speakers, our panelists, for all of their efforts and their participation for an outstanding event. It's really a historic milestone for our global activities to support ophthalmologists everywhere to gain skills and leadership in ophthalmology and eye care. And we're so excited to be able to launch this program with you today. And of course, we have Ivo Kotsur, our CEO, with us. And I think you know how much we support and hope that this event will be inspiring for all those logged in. Before we start, I think it's important to remind you that the ICO has its roots back in 1857 when it held its first World Congress. And we work with international societies from around the world. We have 182 members, and our goal and mission is to improve education and access to the highest quality of eye care. We're very pleased to partner with our largest member, the All India Ophthalmological Society, to launch this program today. And we have, the ICO cares a lot about ICO, about leadership among our societies, and is not new. As we've had over the decades, and building on this legacy, we're really excited to be doing this for colleagues around the world. Especially the COVID-19 pandemic has been life-changing. It's significantly influenced our professional lives, but our private lives as well. And the ICO has supported our community through global resources that are provided through our eye societies. And, all of us face risk as we care for patients. And of course, we all pay tribute and we salute those who continue to put themselves at risk to help our patients preserve their sight. It was only about 6 weeks ago that the ICO held its first all virtual World Ophthalmology Congress meeting. And just a quick reminder, please, that for those who are not aware, all of the Congress content is still available until the end of September September the 30th. So for those who've already registered, you can come back anytime for sessions that you may have missed. And for those who've not registered, for students and for all those in training. So please join us. Without further ado, I want to thank you all for being with us. We're going to have a great 2 days. I know that I hope that all of us will be inspired by a very holistic approach to lead. We'll turn it over to you. Thank you all for being with us.
Thank you, Professor Neeru Gupta. We have the All India Ophthalmic Society. We have Dr. Namrata here, and we have the faculty from all over the world, American Academy of Ophthalmology, and the various others who will be joining in. So thank you, Neeru, and thank you, Yuvo. So we start the program with the divinity, and I'm very happy to have here Didi Krishna Kumari from Sadhu Vaswani Mission. And I wanted to say that Didi is a very spiritual soul, blessed by the Lord, and she was the closest to Dadaji. And when he's there, and physically was there, and now spiritually, he's always with us. And she's dedicated her life from the age of 2. She's in the mission, and Dadaji has taken her in his own hands. And I have interacted with the Krishna Didi from more than 2 decades, where myself and Dr. Chandrasekhar will be mentioning about the lessons learned from him. And we have none other than Didi Krishna Kumari to give us the blessing and give note address and start this leadership program and how we can live happily. And that's what Dadaji was mentioning. And namaste to Didi for accepting to give us the talk, and she's going to lead the life.
A warm welcome to every one of you. Today is the Independence Day. Let us begin by just closing our eyes for a few seconds and let us breathe out vibrations of healing, of well-being, of health, of harmony, of peace to all the residents of India, to all the residents of the entire world, and to to the entire universe, to the entire creation. May all be free from disease and be filled with peace. Thank you. Sir, in fact, it is an honor and a privilege for me to be associated with this beautiful program. It's a joy to greet the young ophthalmologists all over the globe. And I feel specially grateful to Dr. Natarajan for giving me this privilege. Thank you, sir. I must confess that I am not a leader, but I had the rare and the unique privilege of spending my life at the lotus feet of a true leader who was truly incomparable and unique. Without any conscious effort at leadership, hundreds and thousands willingly followed him. In him, there was a blend of courage and compassion. Complex problems would seem so simple in front of him. In him, foresight was accompanied by practicality, and above all, he guided us with the example of his life. I'm talking of none other than my mentor and my revered Gurudev, revered Dada J.P. Vaswani. And before I begin, I bow down to him, a true leader, an inspirer, and an energizer. Dear friends, the Sadhu Vaswani mission is today recognized as a humanitarian organization with activities spread through spiritual unfolding, service of the poor, education, medical, and you will be happy to know that the mission also runs a state-of-art KKI Institute, which is also reckoned as one of the leading institutes. We also have activities that extend to relief and rehabilitation. And we have had this opportunity in the mission. We have the slogan that we are all working together to change Corona into Karuna. Karuna, as you all know, is compassion, because today there is so much of poverty, there is so much of need. It is our duty to go out of our way to bring joy into the lives of the joyless ones. We also have animal welfare for our founders, revered Sadhu Vaswani. He believed that creation is one family and birds and animals are our younger brothers and sisters. One day, a delegation of young leaders came and visited revered Dada J.P. Vaswani, and they asked him, how should a leader lead? And Dada, he smiled. And what did he say to them? He said, remember this one thing. Whether you're leading a group or whether you're leading a big organization, just remember that when everything seems to go wrong, say, I have done it. When everything seems to go okay, you say, we will work together. And when everything seems to go fine, say, you all together have done a wonderful job. He often said to us that remember that you must think through the heart. Think through the heart and feel through the head. I repeat, think through the heart and feel through the head. When we think through the head, we are led by competition and one-upmanship. But when we think through the heart, we achieve cooperation, we achieve progress. When we think through the heart, our focus is on solutions. But when we think through the head, our focus is on problems. Our head is directed towards selfishness, but our heart thinks of the benefit of all. Our head is assailed by so many thoughts, and therefore, many a times we are distracted. But the heart is always one pointed and focused. Therefore, he would always urge us think through the heart and feel through the head. And he said to us, remember, light up your minds, because it is your attitude that counts. Your attitude determines your altitude. There is a funny little story of a grumpy old grandfather. And one day he decides to visit and spend some time with his grandchildren. He goes to visit them, and as he's having his afternoon nap, one of the grandsons, he says, just let me have a little fun. So what does he do? He picks up some blue cheese. And as many of you know, blue cheese is known for its strong smell. He picks up that blue cheese, he grates it, and he goes and smears it on the beard of the grandfather. And suddenly the grandfather, he wakes up from his sleep with a snort, and he just rushes out of the room saying, it stinks, the room stinks. But as he's going from one room to another, he says, the entire house is stinking. The entire house is stinking. And then he moves out. And what does he say? The world is stinking. And what did beloved Dada say to us? He said, therefore, be careful of your thoughts. If we entertain, if we have continuously negative thoughts in our mind, then we will get the foul smell of our own negativity wherever we go. But if we have wonderful thoughts, positive thoughts, then we will spread the scent of the thoughts that are in our mind wherever we go. Not only will we be energized, but our vibrations will energize the entire team. Every experience that comes to us, everyone whom we will encounter will have the scent of the thoughts that we hold in our fragrance. And choose your thoughts. Beloved Dada said to us, thoughts are the building blocks of life. We rarely pay attention to our thoughts. We say, after all, it was just a thought, it doesn't matter. No, my friends, thoughts are the building blocks of life. In fact, it is through our thoughts. Thoughts are the ink with which we are writing the destiny of our lives. Therefore, always ensure that our thoughts are positive. They are always, always uplifting. The second principle on which I would like to draw your attention, as I said, we are in a very small skiff. Success or leadership is like a huge ocean, and we are in a skiff in a boat of just 20 minutes. So, how far can we go? Whatever practical suggestions or principles I can pass on to you, I will make a humble attempt to do so. The second one is always try to appreciate. Appreciation should not be silent, it should be expressive. Everyone, each and every member of the team, every one of us is endowed, is blessed with some gift, with some skill or the other. And a good leader, he identifies those skills. Some may have a very strong business acumen. Some may be very good at creativity. Some may have a caring and a compassionate heart. There are so many skills, there are so many gifts which God has bestowed on each and every one of us. As a good leader will identify those skills, those use them in a harmonious way to create the symphony of success. Beloved Dada was asked, can you tell us the secret of success? And he said, once I was invited to attend a huge concert, and I was amazed to find that the orchestra, it comprised of 100 members. And the music conductor, with just a flick of his stick which he had in his hand, the flick of his baton, he elicited a wonderful, wonderful music. The symphony was so energizing. But Dada said, what did I see? All the 100 participants had some or the other role to play. Someone was a lead singer, someone was just on the guitar, someone was on the casio, someone was just clapping her hands, someone was just tapping her foot. But it is only when the talent of each and every person was humble. No role is insignificant, no role is trivial. We must just appreciate everybody, and that will help us to bring out the best in everybody. Let me move faster. The third principle, beloved Dada said, is do your duty. Do your duty honestly, sincerely, faithfully, conscientiously. A true leader will never shirk from his duty, but he will go one step further. He will do his duty and a little more. Beloved Dada often reminded us that today the world has become so selfish, so self centered. All of us, we just think about I, me, mine. That has become our vocabulary. What will I gain from this? How will I benefit from this? Some of us Just to stay ahead in the rat race, we are even prepared to compromise on our values. Here it is that we need the light of the heart. And what determines whether the heart is rich or not? It is not how much you possess, but how much you give. That determines the richness of your heart. No man can be called rich just by turning to his ledger. That person is rich who's kind, who's compassionate, who's understanding, who's patient. Beloved Dada gave us a wonderful definition of understanding. He said, what is understanding? It is built up of two words: understand. When is understanding possible? When we are able to stand under. Unfortunately, many of us, we do not want to stand under. All of us want to be in the forefront. If we want that true spirit of understanding, we need to cultivate humility. And therefore, today, servant leadership is one of the most important factors which is recognized in a true leader. A true leader, yes, he will do his duty, but he will go beyond the call of his duty to help, to bring joy, to share, to bear, to care. I'm reminded of a beautiful story of a night clerk. He was an ordinary night clerk. His name was George. But every duty that was given to him was performed in the best possible manner. He was an ordinary night clerk, as I mentioned to you. One night, an old couple enters the hotel and it is pouring heavily. There is lightning, there is thunder, and the hotel is completely full. And this night clerk, he tells the couple that the hotel is full. But he sees that this couple at this time of the night are a little apprehensive. They are a little stressed. Where will they be able to go now in the night? So he understands their position. And this night clerk, he tells them, if you will give me a minute, I can just see how I can help you. He could have easily said, the hotel is full. How could you have asked for a room without prior booking? But he said, just give me a few minutes, maybe a minute or two. Let me see how I can help you. And what does he do? He calls the housekeeping and he tells them, go and set up my room. Make it the best that you can. And then he comes to the old couple. He says, I'm willing to offer you my room. I know it is not the best room in the hotel which you can afford, but I'm sure you will be comfortable. In a few minutes, the room will be ready. And when the room is ready, he himself leads them to the room. He gets for them a cup of coffee, sees to it that they are comfortable, and then goes back to his call of duty. This was one of the many ordinary things for him, because this was a part of his nature to be kind, to be considerate, to be compassionate. A few months pass by and the world famous Waldorf Astoria Hotel is inaugurated. And who is appointed as the head of this hotel? None other than this night clerk, because that couple was Mr. and Mrs. Astoria, and they could not forget the kindness that this night clerk had offered them, his spirit of caring, his spirit of sharing, his spirit of foregoing his happiness and making them comfortable, making them happy. And the fourth principle is stay connected. Stay connected. We all are very good at that, especially. And this is what that has kept all our spirits alive, this connection, especially during this pandemic. It is this connection that has kept all of us strong and vibrant and buoyant. Stay connected. Yes, we all, before we move out of our homes, we ensure that our mobile phones are fully charged. Our laptops are fully charged. Yes, that is very necessary. For many of us, we need a power pack with us, because just that strength of the mobile is not sufficient. But beloved Dada urged us, stay connected with the source of all wisdom, the source of all strength, the source of all healing. Stay connected, stay connected, stay connected. Today, life has become so volatile. Fortunes are lost in a minute as they are gained also in a minute. This pandemic has created so much uncertainty, and it has literally imprisoned us in our homes. Fear, tension, stress, worry, anxiety, loneliness, boredom has led to depression, and it has started claiming so many lives. We need we need security, we need strength, we need protection, and that can come only when we are connected to the source. And the source of true strength, true wisdom, true healing is God. Imagine we have a power station within us, but we live in a state of permanent power failure. Beloved Dada urged us that every morning just spend half an hour. He called it PQT, personal quiet time, which is very, very, very necessary to connect with our inner self, our true self. For within each one of us are untold energies of the spirit, untold reservoirs of the eternal. And if only we tap those energies, there is nothing that we cannot achieve. There is nothing that is impossible. Therefore, let us connect with the source by spending some time in silence every morning before we start our day. And usually, during the day also, whenever we are traveling, whenever we are moving from one place to another, whenever we get a chance, we try to charge our mobiles. Maybe it's 5 minutes, maybe it's 10 minutes. We say, let the battery be full. Maybe we need it for a rainy day. Maybe we need it for something that may crop up. Similarly, he said, during the day, whenever you get an opportunity, just take out 1 minute before you're entering a meeting. You're waiting for the elevator to come. You're waiting for someone to answer the phone call. Just utilize that moment and connect yourself to that source, and you will be amazed by the results you see in the meeting that you're just going to start. My friends, healing too is a gift from God. You doctors, many of you must have experienced that. Sometimes the surgery goes so smoothly, but it heals so fast. And sometimes it takes so long to heal. The healing power of God is required. I recall once when beloved Dada went to see a dentist. On his wall was a sign which said, the dentist treats. It's God who heals. And Dada smiled and said to him, what you have written is very true. The dentist treats. It's God who heals. But Dada said, go a step further. You should say, the dentist entreats. It's God who heals, because all healing, all strength, all power flows from God, who is the limitless one. Let us cultivate faith in Him and contact Him as often as we can. And never forget that a sense of humor is very, very, very important. One day, in one of his light moods, Dada said to us, leadership is like a bird in the hand. If you hold it tightly, you may kill it. And if you hold it loosely, you may lose it. So that sense of humor is very, very important to keep the entire team together, to keep the atmosphere light. And many times, a little sense of humor can save grave situations, stressful situations. I think I have already spoken more, but before I close, let me say this to you. Let us kindle this triple light in our life. Let us develop our immune system. And the second light is the light of the mind. Let us keep our minds also sanitized. Every day we are so particular about sanitizing our homes, sanitizing our clinics, but we need to sanitize our minds equally. Let us kindle the light of the mind And thirdly, and the most importantly, let us kindle the light of the heart by doing our duty and a little more, and by connecting to the source of all strength, who, for want of a better word, we call God. I leave you with beloved Dada's light and wisdom. Stay blessed, stay protected, and above all, stay connected. And today we have for you a wonderful meditation. It's a beautiful way of beginning this conference. The meditation is on re-engineering your attitudes. This wonderful meditation will take you on a journey that whenever a negative thought enters your mind, whenever you feel depleted, you just need to energize yourself. You just need to re-engineer your mind. And how do we do it? The simple meditation will give you a simple solution. Let us all join in this beautiful meditation and feel renewed, refreshed, and revitalized. Once again, I thank you for this wonderful opportunity of connecting with you, friends. Stay in touch, keep connected. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Didi. I have a request for you. We want you to stay back for the meditation and
of course,
and few minutes with myself.
Of course, definitely. It is my pleasure.
And also interact with our president of the interim of International Council of Ophthalmology, the CEO and Secretary General of All India Ophthalmic Society. So I'll play the meditation, and I don't want to give another talk because I think this is all I learned, and I'll play the meditation now, and then after that we'll have the session with Dr. Chandrasekhar, yourself, and myself.
Meditation on re-engineering attitudes. This meditation is meant to help you tap your most valuable asset, the power of your mind. More precious than silver and gold, greater than any power on earth, is the power of the mind. The mind can make or mar your life depending on whether you control the mind or let the mind control you. The choice is yours. A controlled mind is your best friend, your faithful advisor. It is ever ready to help you and guide you to overcome any situation. It is your invaluable asset. All you need to do is to use it in the right way. Now we shall start the meditation. Step number 1. Let us relax. Relax every muscle. Relax every limb. Relax every nerve of the body. Make it tension-free. Relax your shoulders. Drop all the weight you are carrying with you. All your burdens, all your problems, Now, let the mind be free. Free from the worries of the past. Free from fears of the future. Live in the present moment. Be conscious of the now and here. Now and here. Now and here. Now take in 3 deep breaths. As you breathe deeply, be relaxed. Begin. Breathe in slowly, deeply. Now breathe out slowly, completely. Breathe in slowly, deeply. Breathe out slowly, completely. Breathe in slowly, deeply. Breathe out slowly, completely. We move on to the second step. Now, let us unclutter our minds. Picture the state of your thoughts. They are cluttered with wrong ideas, negative emotions, selfishness, anxiety, hatred, prejudice, envy, jealousy, resentment, ill will. Picture the state of a cluttered attic, a small room crowded with useless stuff, occupying all the available space. Now begin to throw out all the useless stuff. Imagine there is a dumper truck waiting just outside the room, ready to carry away all the useless, unwanted stuff. Pick up the broken chairs, unusable bags and boxes, the stuff that has been lying around for years. Pick up each negative emotion, and throw it out. Pick up worry and anxiety. Cast it out. Pick up envy and jealousy. Throw it out. Pick up insecurity and resentment. Throw it out. Pick up all that is useless. Unclutter your mind. Now the room is empty. Actually, it is large and spacious. Light is coming in through the windows. Open the windows. Let the fresh air in. You are now occupying a spacious, well-lit room of your own. Stretch out and feel the space. Feel the uncluttered spaces of your mind. We move on to the third step. The room of the mind is clean. It is vacant. Fill it with things that matter to you. Fill it with beautiful things. Things you will need. Things that will be useful. Things that will be helpful. Say to yourself, I am the architect of my own destiny. I am the builder of my own life. Repeat, I am the architect of my own destiny. I am the builder of my own life. Now imagine that as you breathe in, you are inhaling the peace of God. As you breathe in, you are absorbing God's energy, the vitality of the universe. Breathe in positive energy, optimism, vitality. Breathe out peace, contentment, security. Resolve to live and work with a relaxed mind. Resolve to live and work without stress and tension, to work at a moderate, reasonable speed, Let nothing, nothing, nothing disturb your inner peace. Repeat the words, all was well, all is well, and all will be well, both now and 100 years hence. That is the end of the meditation. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.
Thank you, Didi. And we'll have the discussion now with Chandrasekhar. Dr. Introduce Dr. Chandrasekhar. So we have Dr. G. Chandrasekhar, who has been associated with the L.V. Prasad Eye Institute from its inception in 1987 and is currently the vice chair. The institution of a chair on his name, G. Chandrasekhar Chair of Director of Education in 2003, recognized his contribution as the Director of Education at L.V. Prasad Eye Institute. He holds the position of clinical professor at the University of Rochester and has been a visiting professor at University of California, San Diego, USA. And Dr. GC, as is famously called, has served as the president of the Glaucoma Society of India 2005-06. And Dr. GC is a member of the Glaucoma Research Society with a membership limited to 100, and has also served on the board of the World Glaucoma Association, where Dr. Neeru Gupta, who is the president interim, is now also the president-elect of the World Glaucoma Society. So with this, Dr. GC, and respects to Didi. Didi, I lost my mind, in the sense, lost to peace. So I suddenly became thoughtless. I wanted to tell many things about you. That I met you almost 3 decades before, and I've seen you with the Dadaji, and which I have been of running a medical center, and I think it's grown beautifully well. And we have various professors from the US and Dr. GC, and after Dr. GC says, I'll also share. Dr. Chandrasekhar?
Can I share my screen?
Yes, you can.
Good evening, everyone, and good morning to those people coming from overseas and at different times of the world. Thank you, Natarajan and ICO and AOS for giving me this privilege of sharing my thoughts this afternoon. My introduction to the mission and Dada was through KKI Institute and Renu, the administrator, the chief there. And I want to acknowledge the good work that goes on there. I want to retitle the talk as the lessons to be learned rather than lessons learned, because this is a journey of probably more than one life, if not one life. The destiny is not reached, we are on a path, and what direction we take and how we tread the path, I think is what is important. I want to focus on 2 thoughts, humility and love, as they belong to the medical profession that we practice or our personal lives. An MIT professor wrote a book on humble inquiry and defined humility as giving someone else a higher status than ourselves. And he classified humility into 3 basic types. A basic humility, which we have for our parents, our teachers, and things like that, which is innate, and that is straightforward. An optional humility for the film stars or the sports stars that we idolize, or perhaps even our colleagues who are better than us, either at surgery or at research or in education. That's an optional humility, that we respect somebody for the work that they do. And the third humility, which is important in medical profession, is the here and now humility, And the examples that the book takes is about the leader in the operation theater as to the job in the operation theater of a safe and effective surgery is possible only when all the team members work together. And for that to happen, the outcome depends upon the contribution by the technician in the sterilization room, or the sister who assists, or the anesthetist who helps as the team. Though all of them may have a basic humility towards the surgeon because of his accomplishments, he needs to have a humility to be able to get the best out of them so that the job at hand of a safe surgery is carried out well, to empower them to actually point out if there is something going wrong during surgery or to do their best. So that's the here and now humility. What Dada has taught us is the fourth humility, the humility that comes out of recognizing that everything that God has created is actually represents him. Most of the photographs that you see of Dada, either with children or with adults or with anyone, is actually with a folded hand. So he, throughout his life, I think, has put himself at a lower status than the people in front of him, because he successfully saw the universal spirit, the God in them. And the love that he has for everything around him, including the complete nature, is actually born out of that humility that he actually practiced. So these two concepts of humility and love, how do they translate to our medical profession, is the next thought that I want to share. We are in the medical profession in the business of healthcare. Unfortunately, if we introspect, the healthcare has become a business, and the care component of the healthcare has probably reduced over a period of time. With humility and love, can we bring back compassion and care to the healthcare profession that we are in, is one of the thoughts that we need to introspect on. We are all familiar with this profound statement of service to man is service to God. We as a profession are privileged that our livelihood depends upon service to somebody who is sick and who takes our help. And if that service is done with all sincerity, compassion, and care, then we are actually, during our professional life, doing service to God, is what we need to remember. Taking that thought a little further of humility and love. If the patient is seeing the God in the healing hands of the doctor, that is appropriate. But the doctor's ego, somebody defined ego as edging God out, should not prevent the humility of seeing the God in the patients that we treat. If Dada could see God in everything and gave them with his humility a higher status than himself, can we continuously, through the journey that we take, actually see the God in our patients and have the humility of the opportunity that God has given us to serve him through the patients that we treat, is the thought that I want to share with you. So I think the lesson to be learned from Dada's life for medical profession is the concept of care and compassion. Can we bring back care and compassion with the humility and love that Dada taught us and practiced? And can we, in that journey, keep on doing better day after day in bringing care and compassion to the patients that we treat with the humility and love that Dada taught us? Thank you for your attention.
Thank you, GC. And I will just share the screen. So we are in the International Council of Ophthalmology, which launches the World Ophthalmology Leaders Program. And I think none other than BB has given the leading the light. And so I wanted to, the whole idea came to me, how to see the positive in the midst of COVID-19. So a lesson from Reverend Dadaji. And I think with the talk, the meditation covered the mental health and the physical health. Even the WHO says the definition of a good health is mental, physical, spiritual, and also social health. So I think Sadhu Vaswani and Sadhu Vaswani mission are doing that, and that is what I've learned, and I think I've learned a lot. One is whenever I met Dadaji, I think I know him almost 3 decades now, the time I came in Maharashtra, and I still fondly remember when I went to the KKI hospital in '92. Actually, he was the chief guest who was to inaugurate the YAG laser at that time. and Dr. Ashok Murani was the ophthalmologist at the time, and I was just 3-4 years in Mumbai, and thanks to my mentor who gave all the training I have. So he asked me when I went there as a faculty for the meeting, but you know what he did? He took me and with his hands, he caught my hands and said, "You are going to inaugurate, not me." And I think that's the humility which Dr. GC talked. And I think, and whenever I met him, I think I met him in Hong Kong, I met him in Mumbai, I met him in Chennai, and also in, I remember Maya in Mumbai, in her house I met, and several places. And I think always there will be a lot of people sitting, and I still remember, like you saw the photograph, I'm not able to get the photograph, where Dadaji is there and you can sit down, and he actually takes the hand and continuously keeps giving energy to you and blessing you for the healing. And I think he's like a persona with who vibrate, his vibration is full of positivity, and he teaches gratitude. And Didi also mentioned about helping others. And Didi I've seen, she will do anything, and I think she is probably the most blessed soul living now. And she said she is not a leader, but she is the leader who leading the Sadhu Vaswani mission. So whatever I learned, I put it together. I'm sure Didi can add it up, where I thought we should have a healthy diet to live. And November 25th, I think Sadhu Vaswani mission spreads a no meat day. And he also says physical fitness. And then as a doctor, I thought everybody should have a regular check. And Dadaji himself, as a body, he says when he has a problem, he goes to the doctor and gets whatever the doctor wants to do as duty. As a patient, he said he will get it done. And you can see, I've just taken 2 pictures with our Prime Minister and with Dalai Lama. I listened to Dalai Lama 2 weeks back in another medical conference. And he said, as Didi also mentioned, we do sanitizing the hands and sanitizing the room and sanitizing the hospital everywhere. And the Dalai Lama mentioned, and Dadaji also in a different way, you have to sanitize the mind also. And I think he mentioned in the meditation video how your room is full of things and has the same things in the mind. You empty it, and I think that's what the meditation does. So with this, I think I just wanted Didi to share her things, and with if any of the people along with us, whoever wants to ask Didi something or comment. And I think we are all ophthalmologists here, should visit the KKI hospital. Is a state-of-the-art eye hospital. I actually promised 2 years back that I will come regularly, but as the president of All India, I could not visit Pune. But now post-COVID, I will come, and my services will be there all the time as Natarajan, and nothing to do with anything else. And we are here, and we have, I can see Sydney, Gail, all from US here, and Dr. Namrata.
I think Dr. Natarajan and Dr. GC sir, as well as Didi, and we had a wonderful meditation which we went through. Very relevant nowadays, and sanitization of mind is important. I think we are all going mad thinking about the COVID, and otherwise also there are so many tensions, anxiety and everything, and I think this is a great webinar that way. Personally, for me also, this is the first time I am attending any such webinar, and first time in my life I went through the meditation part. So I'm sure it is going to be useful for everybody.
I want to echo those sentiments. First of all, thank you, Didi, for a beautiful lecture. And of course, the meditation was wonderful. And I think, just listening to your words and listening to the meditation was a purification in itself, the beginning at least. And it's a reminder to all of us how important, the mental well-being is, and just a reminder that there's a lot of pollution going on, and that we need to clean up the air up there on a regular basis and frequently, and certainly, you know, this is a practice that is beautiful, and I'm certainly very inspired to learn more and to put it into regular practice. I think it'll help all of us to be mindful. Thank you so much.
Mike is my mentor in, I learned leadership program in 2005-06 in American Academy of Ophthalmology. We have Mike and Gail from American Academy and that's how I started the leadership development program in All India Ophthalmic Society. So thanks to both AIOS, now the AO and also the ICO for having this as a concept. And I think the idea is that each one can be a leader. Mike, you have to unmute. Oh, I think the camera went off. Mike? Or Evo?
Yeah. Thank you.
Oh, yes,
Yeah, it's coming here.
Yes, Mike?
Yes, thanks, Nadi. We're very happy to be part of the program, and I'll get my face back in the picture. I think that many of the concepts that I was intending to talk about have already been presented. Some of these very beautiful ideas about the subtle aspects of leadership came out in the earlier talks. We'll talk later about the strategies that we developed to try to get the next generation into position earlier, and that's our intended position to be coming up.
Yes, thank you. And Evo?
Yes, thank you very much, Nati. To me, really, I mean, to be a leader, to have aspirations in your career, in your professional life, it's a conscious and active decision, which also requires not only dedication. Techniques will be certainly presented today and tomorrow, and one of those which sometimes, particularly in the Western environment, is neglected is the technique or the approach how to keep your mind free of what Nero referred to as pollution, of the over let's say flow of information of any sort, how to find yourself, how to be true to yourself, and how to build your mind a way which can sustain the pressures rather than give up, which can really grow professionally, intellectually. And I'm really delighted that we have this opportunity today and tomorrow to get appropriate guidance, share our observations among us, and even more importantly, to provide them to those who I would like to greet again, those out there in the dark, those who logged in and are eager, of course, to learn. So thank you very much.
Thank you for staying with us and need your blessing. And we have your final word from you, Didi.
It's really been a joy to be associated with this beautiful function, and let us carry this one thing: stay connected to the source of all joy, all peace, and all love.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. So we thank you, Didi. Now we are going ahead with the next program. So I just share the screen. So next we have a very interesting session. It's a very important, even a person like me, I thought I've led so many organizations and growing up. I just finished the head All India Ophthalmic Society. Now I'm heading Asia Pacific Ophthalmic Society, but I think lots to learn. And with that, so thanks to Dr. Ashiana for getting Mimi Donaldson, a speech coach. She is a master's degree with the Columbia University Teachers College, human resources specialist at Walt Disney Company, Northrop Aircraft, and Rockwell International, superstar in speaking business, keynoting with celebrities for audiences of thousands. Mimi has created speeches for executives, celebrities, entrepreneurs, and sales staffs. And Mimi is an official speech coach for TEDx Talks and TED Talks. To date, she has coached 14 speakers to the TEDx stage, an author of Pitch Perfect, Speak to Grow Your Business in 7 Simple Steps, Bless Your Stress, It Means You're Still Alive, Necessary, the contact sport of life. Her email ID and the website is here, but still, in case anybody interested, you can take a screenshot. At the same time, you can write to me, I can connect her. And with this, I now off to you, Mimi. And Mimi is 12.5 hours away from us, but early morning in San Francisco.
It's early morning, all right. Well, I am thrilled to be here, and I'm thrilled that the program so far has covered the ground of being when you are given the privilege of speaking on a platform. The ground of being is it's not about you. It's about the people that you are speaking to. The ground of being is truly you are a teacher. And if you look at the word educate, you look at the Latin root, educare, which doesn't mean put in knowledge to people's heads. It means to draw out. Isn't that interesting? So a true teacher, like all of you, the ground of being and your heart knows that everybody has everything they need already. When they smile and nod at your talking, it means I get that, I hear that, I know that. So it's a wonderful ground of being to come from, that you're not putting in knowledge, that you're drawing them out. When I coach anybody to speak, especially TED Talkers, it has to be their legacy speech. It has to be the points you cannot leave Earth without saying. And the speakers this morning have been so wonderful. I don't even feel like you need this, but there is a logic part of the listener. The listener and you, the speaker, connect on 2 levels. One, some people call the right brain. It's the immediate response. Do I like her? Is she easy to listen to? Is her personality something I like? And the only way you can break that connection, because people really want you to make it. I mean, you get up on a stage or a platform or in front of a classroom or in front of a group of staff people, and they want you to make it. They just don't want you to make them nervous. They remember 8th grade speech class, and they're really glad they're not up there. I was telling Ashiana that the number 1 fear of people is public speaking, is number 5, which leads to that Jerry Seinfeld joke about at the funeral, you would rather be in the coffin than giving the eulogy. And for some people, it's really, really scary. But here's the truth. It's not about you. It's about them. It's about the people you're talking to. So the first thing you have to decide is the purpose. What is it you want your listener to do, think, or feel after you communicate? Write that down. It's a real focus, not what do I want to say, but what do I want my listener to do, think, or feel after I communicate? That's your purpose. And all of your speech is going to be geared to that purpose. The second thing is, who is my audience? Who are they? What do they respond to? How much education do they already have talking about? How familiar are they with it? How much credibility do I have to do? When the professor showed that slide, I wanted him to make sure that my master's degree was in there because you guys are a bunch of very educated people. Some audiences will respond to different parts of your resume. Some respond to the fact that I've coached TED Talkers. Great. So the connection to things, let's go on. The right brain is the, do I like her? Can I listen to her? The left brain is the logic part. The logic part of the brain is the part that listens and says, is she making sense? And how you know you're not making sense is the audience gets whiplash. They go, what? Wait, what'd she say? What? You don't want people doing that. You want to lead them down a logical path. So the two most important things are the energy in your communication and the content that is logical. Energy is the most important characteristic of any communication ever. The difference between a great speaker and a good speaker is energy. And you must engage. I know Zoom is tough because all you've got out of the 5 channels of energy, the eyes, the hands, the feet, the body, and the voice. When you're up on stage in person, you can use all 5 of those to release energy and have the audience be interested. On Zoom, you've got your voice and your eye contact. Notice I'm looking at the camera as much as possible. The great thing about Zoom is, the only thing I like about it, is that you can have your notes right under the camera and no one can see them except you. It's kind of cool. As you know, the TED Talkers are not allowed to have any notes at all, which scares them so much. That's the most scary part. All right, so the 2 channels of energy that you're using right now are the voice and the eyes. Eye contact is not overrated. It's very, very important. I know you've just got the camera. If we were in person, I would coach you how to look at one side of the screen and then the other side. But with the Zoom calls, which we're going to be doing for quite a while, we're going to look right into the camera. Energy of the voice is five characteristics. The pace is the fast and slows. Don't be too fast, but don't be too slow. And how do you know this? Get feedback. Ask people, do I speak too fast or do I speak too slow, or is it just right? The pace, the intonation is the second thing, and that's the opposite of monotone. The intonation is the highs and the lows. So I used to teach at Northrop, and they were all ex-military, and they talked like this, and that was cool for them, but not for the audience. So I had to teach them how to do highs and lows. And tone is a different thing. Tone is the emotion. I can say, I told you before, which is very neutral tone, or I can say the same 4 words, I told you before. And there's a little bit of edge in there, isn't it? So I always say before you go speak in front of a group, clean yourself. Like it's like checking your collar or checking to see your hemline. You check yourself emotionally. Am I clean? Don't bring in any stuff from the morning with the kids or the spouse or the workers at your job. Projection is the softs and the louds, and I still haven't mastered this microphone thing, but make sure that the last person in the row, if you're in person, can hear it. Non-words are very distracting, and you'll know one of Mimi's rules is if it's distracting, it's wrong. So non-words are like, and you know. How many of us have counted the you knows in a speech? And it's just so distracting. Anything distracting is wrong because another Mimi thought, make it easy for the audience to give you what you want. Make it easy for them to give you what you want them to feel, think, or do. Which brings us to the second part of the connection with your listener. Content. How do you speak logically? Well, the only way I know how to do it, and I've been teaching this for years, is speak to the listener's train of thought. In other words, the listener is sitting up, you got on stage or you get on the Zoom, and picture them with their arms crossed. I know this group is very open and loving, but a lot of people that you need to talk to are not open and loving. And picture them with their arms crossed, looking at you sideways. And the question in their mind isn't, "Ooh, tell me something wonderful. Tell me your story." It's actually, "Why should I listen to you? What's in it for me?" People want to know if you're worth listening to in the first 30 seconds. So what I always say is lead with the need. Lead with the need of the audience that you're going to address. So for instance, I'm a speech coach. So I lead with something like, does the thought of speaking in front of a group make you sweat and keep you up at night? Now, some of the audience is going to go, yeah. Others of them are going to go, no, I'm used to it. So my second sentence is, do you suspect you may be boring? My third sentence, do you wish you could make people laugh? Because most people really wish they could amuse, the talent to amuse, as Noah Coward said. So those three things have been a really good opener for me. People have come up afterwards and say, yeah, I really need your services because I've always wanted to make people laugh. But lead with the need of the client. Now, tomorrow in your time, I'll be creating a positive clinic environment. And that anybody who comes will want to know how to do that. So I will address that need. But here today, I'm addressing the need of your audience. They want to know, why should they listen to you? You open with that. You get their arms uncrossed. You look out, they're looking up and they go, okay, you got my need, you got my situation, what you got? What's your solution? Now notice you have to answer the need in the first part. I usually say, I'm Mimi Donaldson and I'm your speech coach. We will write your perfect marketing speech so that at the end, people come up to you and say the magic 5 words, I think I need you. Every business owner or practice owner wants that to happen after they talk to a group. They want half the group, the people who have the need, to come up and say, I think I need you. So step 2 is always the solution. Now the audience looks up, listener looks up, and they say, okay, you got my need, you got my solution. Why are you the one? What makes you the one? Aren't there a bunch of eye surgeons out there? Aren't there a bunch of speech coaches out there? Then you do a little line or two about your most famous thing. So I always say, together we'll use my experience of 30 years in front of audiences of thousands to craft your perfect speech. Oh, okay. Can a lot of people say they've had 30 years of keynote speaking experience? No. Can a lot of people say they've coached TED Talkers to the stage? No. So you pull out your most famous thing, anything that'll make your eyes light up. I often tell clients, think about your last patient or client. What did you do? What were they like before? What were they like after? Whatever makes your eyes light up, that's what you should say. When I was interviewed to speak for this group, I told Ashiana that I thanked you corneal surgeons for my life. And she said, how? And I said, my surgeon at UCLA, Dr. Sophie Dang, did my laser resurfacing on the left eye because I have recurrent corneal erosion. And it's changed my life. My whole life is different. And she said, oh, we know Sophie Dang. It warmed my heart. So yeah, with this group, I think my most famous thing is that Sophie Dang saved my life. She had 2 little interns there too watching her, and she was narrating it. I thought it was fascinating. I was so into it. Anyway, I digress. So if you have more than 5 minutes to talk, not only do you here's your need, here's my solution, and here's why I'm the one to help you. You also do steps 4 and 5. which the audience is asking, okay, give me some proof. Give me some examples. Give me a taste of what you do. How do you do it? How do you operate? So that they know to make a decision to agree with what you're saying. So in my case, we work on Google Docs, we work with Zoom, we write your speech step by step. You have a procedure. So steps 4 and 5, if you have time, you tell the procedure or you tell the research about the procedure. Step 6, the audiences have gone maybe 5 minutes, maybe 20 minutes. They're leaned back, they go, okay, so enough with the facts. Now they want to know, why are you so passionate about this? A lot of people call it the why story. Simon Sinek wrote a great book, Start With Why. And ever since People magazine came out in the 70s, people think they have the right to know the story behind the story. I'm still a bit in, privacy issues. I don't tweet my life every day. So I am a baby boomer and I understand that. But you have to tell people the juice, where you get your juice. Why do you do what you do? What part of it just thrills you so much that you would do it for free? And I always say doing it for free is my second favorite way of coaching. My first favorite way is doing it for money. I know, it's funny, but the truth is, yes, coaching people, finding their voice, claiming their power with their words, that's my mission. I do it all day long. I do it for friends. I do it for clients. The why story, some of you have very touching ones. My father's father was an OBGYN and he tied off a cesarean and he dropped dead of massive heart disease. So my dad became a doctor, but what kind of doctor? A heart doctor, internal medicine. So that's like a straight line why story, right? My father died of a heart attack and I became a heart doctor. A lot of us don't have those straight line stories. But that's okay. That's okay. It's your particular why story. Now, it brings us to the last step of your speech, any speech, which has to be the call to action. Because after your why story, people are a little moved and they ask, well, how do I work with you? What's the first step to working with you? And that's a thing that I actually taught my dad how to do, because my dad was a doctor and he said, I'm not a business person. I said, well, Dad, you kind of have to, oh no, I don't do business. I don't do selling. I'm a doctor. And so I said, so what do you think I do? And he said, what you do is a combination of mental health and showbiz. And I said, Dad, that is so true. So the call to action can be as soft or as direct as you want it to be. It's how do you tell people how to proceed to work with you? In my case, I usually say, some of you love what I said and you connected with it. And because you have a handout or you've bought my book on it, you're going to follow it and you're going to do it yourself. You're DIY, do it yourself people. Wonderful. Another place you might be in is that you don't do it yourself. You hire people who are experts. In which case, I would love to work with you on Google Docs and the phone or Zoom. Do it anyway, especially now everything's remote. No one comes to my house anymore. And the third place you might be in is that, yeah, you've connected with some things I said. You found some value, but you still have some questions. In which case I offer a 30-minute free call. You have to call me for 30 minutes and we discuss your particular need, especially if you have a TEDx talk coming up or you have to speak for your association meeting for 20 minutes or 10 minutes and you don't know how to do it. I mean, we've had such wonderful examples here. I dare say you know what you're doing. But if you ever need me, I'm available, and my email is on that sheet, and it's probably also other places. So the 7 steps of speaking logically help people follow you and get them smiling and nodding. What you want the audience to be is smiling and nodding. Oh yeah, I get that. I get that. I get that. And that's knowing how to speak logically with the 7 steps and using all the energy you can muster in your eyes and your voice. The close are important only that it's not distracting. Remember, anything distracting is wrong. You have to study how much shows in a Zoom call, and then make sure it's something you're not going to fiddle with. Make sure the earrings aren't big dangly ones that people are going to get distracted by. I don't have to talk to you guys about this, you know. But make sure that something that you're wearing is something you like wearing, and that you won't be distracting people with it. So, pitch perfect, speak to grow your business and propel your career. Thank you very much, Professor.
Thank you, Mimi. I think it's
I got you back on track, notice.
Thank you, and I think really great, and we are happy to. And maybe Ivo, you have any question or comment, and then because she's going to be with us, she's nice of her to do this pro bono for us.
Yeah, questions is good.
Yes.
I would like to ask, thank you very much, Mimi, how much time you typically spend on fixing a speech? You know, how much it takes to really see some change in your client?
Yes, wonderful. Yes, great that you asked that. It depends. I have 2 programs. One is the Keynote or TED Talk program. In other words, TED Talks are very demanding. You have to really be quote-worthy. About every 90 seconds, people have to be reaching for their pens going, ooh, I have to write that down. That's brilliant and profound. So it takes a little longer. The marketing speech about your product and service or practice, and you're going to hopefully grow your business by speaking about it, that takes a shorter time. So ballpark, it's 6 hours face-to-face, and the hours are an hour are a week apart because the content has to marinate. This isn't an article. If it was an article, we could write it in a day. You write a chapter. I've written 4 books. I mean, come on. But it's not. Every sentence needs to be well crafted and land. So 6 hours plus 3 to 5 hours of my consultant time without you, because I have to research. A lot of people don't know the origin of the word that they're doing or the purse that they're making so I love doing the research. You got to be the expert on your topic. So 3 to 5 hours, 6 hours face-to-face, and then however long it needs to polish it. That's the marketing program. The TED Talk or Keynote, when you're going to keynote for people for 20 minutes or longer, it takes about 12 hours face-to-face over a period of about 3-4 months. So people call me and they go, help, I have a TEDx talk in 3 months. I go, okay, great, we can do this. Yes, but all I have is a 45-minute university lecture. A lot of TED Talkers are university professors. So I go, okay, we'll get it down because it's got to be 17 minutes tops. This whole thing is doable and it's so much fun. There's the synergy. I don't write a word without you. As I say in my definition of educare, I draw you out, take lots of notes, and then I put your sentences in the right order according to the 7 steps. So I'll interview you. You'll start with step 3, what makes you the one? And I'll say, oh, goody, that's good words. We're putting it in step 3. Oh, I usually lead with that. Not this time. And then after you work with me, the interesting thing is when you write one speech according to the 7 steps, it enables you to write a bunch of other things according to the 7 steps. Some of my clients write their book as we're writing their speech because they get chapter headings, ideas, and they have a separate file. Other people decide they're going to do webinars from different parts of the speech. Other people decide they're going to do 2-minute videos on their website from other parts of the speech. So it serves as a basis, really.
All right, thank you so much. Congratulations, Mimi.
Oh,
Yes,
you're welcome.
that's great.
I have one
Yes, I love what I do. I think 30 years of keynoting is quite enough.
It shows for sure.
I have a question. I have a question for you, Mimi.
Yes,
I wanted to-
Namrata.
Yeah. I wanted to know that are your TED Talks or your keynote addresses all on a written, are they all written formally first and then people just mug it up, or how do they go about it? I mean, what is the format like?
That's so great that you asked that. All right, so I myself, when I was keynoting, they were from my human resources courses. So when I was at Disney and Northrop and Rockwell teaching, I was teaching stress course for 12 hours, 4 hours every week until 12 hours, 3 sessions. So I turned it into a speech. I never wrote it out because I had turned a bunch of material and handouts and workbook pages to a speech. But some of my clients, especially TED Talkers, we write it out word for word because you can't take any chances with 13 to 17 minutes. With my speaking, I mostly go from bullet points. I'll write down step 1, lead with the need. Step 2, what's the solution? So I go from bullet points, and then I have my little pattern, my stories that go with that bullet point. And when you work with me, we get clear on your stories, and sometimes I never make you write your story out. It's way better just coming from you, as long as it's 90 seconds. If it's 5 minutes, I'll cut it down. But yeah, it's a combination. How much, so some people here are so experienced in speaking that we won't write out the whole speech. We'll do bullet points and they'll do practicing. And I'll help them with the transitions and the humor. Part of the contract is that between sessions, I look for suggested edits that you might want to do, and humor, because I don't do anything without humor. It's just my brand.
Thank you, Mimi. Niru, you want to say something? Unmute.
Oh, just Mimi, just listening to you was just such a pleasure. You know, I think part of it is a big part, as you said, is energy. No shortage of that. So I think, you know, you're a wonderful example, just listening to you, of what we need to all be striving for to be able to lift ourselves up and to be effective, because at this time, you know, all we have is this sort of tablet or screen in front of us, so it really makes a big difference. So I'm sure the pearls are, you know, going to be, you know, people were writing down. I didn't, because I didn't want to make it look like I was writing down. But, you know, thank you so much, really.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
No, this is really true. And whether you're a leader, you're all leaders, because you have to be doctors in your own practice. And you need the energy. People are looking to you for energy. You need to lead the way with energy. I just think that's one of the #1 characteristics that leaders have to have. I have worked with speakers, but speakers are leaders. And you can't, it's a privilege to speak to people. And don't take it for granted with low energy. I mean, I was psyched, but it was very nerve-wracking. Last night I tried to go to bed at 8:30 because I had to be up at 4:30 this morning. I don't usually get up at 4:30. I don't know what that's like. But you know what? Energy. That's all it is.
Thank you.
Thank you. I think we are happy that we are all, so now I'm going to happy to introduce my next speaker and my best friend in the AAO. And I think he's a man of energy. I thought every time everybody tells me, but I think I just wanted to share with him. I mean, he's amazing. Sidney Gichuru is a MD, he's a refractive surgeon from Dallas, Texas. He has a passion for leadership development. He graduated from American Academy of Ophthalmology Leadership Development Program in 2012. Following his graduation, he served as faculty for the Asia Pacific Academy of Ophthalmology, LDP, for 5 years. In 2015, he co-founded the African Ophthalmology Council, LDP, and currently serves as program director for the Anglophone section. Since 2019, Dr. Gicharu has also served as CEO of the African Ophthalmology Council. And Dr. Gicharu has held numerous leadership positions. He has served in many roles on the Executive Council of the Texas Ophthalmological Association, including president and AO counselor. He also served as full-term on OphtaPac, the AAO's political action team. He currently serves as a regional advisor for the AAO's State Affairs Secretariat and as chair of the AAO Communication Secretariat's Communication Advisory Committee. He has been the recipient of 2 AAO Secretariat Awards. He has also served as a committee member on the Federal Drug Administration, Dermatologic and Ophthalmic Drug Committee. And Dr. Gicharu received an electrical engineering degree from the Southern Methodist University. He attended the University of Texas Southwestern Medical School, followed by an internship at Beth Israel Hospital, Harvard Medical School program. He completed his ophthalmology residency at UT Southwestern Medical Center in Dallas, and Dr. Gicharu runs a busy refractive surgery practice, and he's midst of changing his office, he told me, and I'm glad that he's with us, and I think you can see him, a man of energy. And to you, Sydney.
All right, thank you so much. Here, let me share my screen.
So we have a Hindi movie called Wake Up Sid.
Okay, very good. Well, thank you, everyone. Hopefully you can hear me. My name is Dr. Sid Gicharu. I'm actually speaking to you from Dallas. And I want to thank my good friend, Dr. Natarajan, for inviting me to come speak. Natarajan is a world traveler, and I've met him probably on every continent in the world. So when he first asked me to give this talk, one question I asked myself is, why am I giving this talk? Because I'm not excellent all the time. I'm not always excellent at my work. And for sure, I'm not Superman, okay? But what I am is, like most of us, I'm in need of leadership development. As Dr. Natarajan noted, I have completed the AAO's LDP program. I've helped run an LDP program, and I've held leadership positions. And leadership is something that's an ongoing thing, except for very few people like Mike Brennan, who will be speaking later. All of us need to continuously improve our leadership. So to start, I just wanted to use this quote by Bruce McLaren. I'm a big car guy, and McLaren was a Formula One racer in the past. And he used this quote to eulogize one of his test car race drivers who perished while testing one of their first cars. And one of the things I thought that was really interesting is the fact that he talks about life being measured in achievement, not in years alone. In other words, more about quality than about quantity. And so excellence at work is something that's very, very important. Now, if you think about it, we are, as people, only able to accomplish so much. We can accomplish a lot more when we work with a dedicated team. And I really believe that leadership development will teach you how to lead a team. So early on, as I was developing this talk, I decided that probably it would be better to retitle it Excellence in Leading Teams. So what we're going to do is just go over 10 tips on how to be a better leader. So the most important is providing a clear vision with goals. So in terms of the vision, where is it exactly that you want to go? And then you have to kind of develop the goals, and the goals need to be stepwise goals detailing how you plan to reach your vision. And within this whole vision building, you'll have micro and macro goals. A lot of us are, big picture thinkers, and sometimes you have to kind of get down to the details. You have to account for both failure and success. Anyone who has been successful knows that you have to deal with failure at times. So vision building is key to leadership. The next thing is communication. And as Mimi talked about here just a few minutes ago, I mean, communication is key to being a leader. So you need to be able to shout your message from the mountains. You need to be able to reach your vision. To reach your vision, you need to be able to communicate it to your team, to stakeholders. Communication needs to be constant, and it allows you to get buy-in and also to keep your team motivated and engaged. You also have to select the right people for the job. You'll reach your vision a lot quicker if you do so. It is possible to have the perfect candidate who's not perfect for a particular job, so you have to be careful about that. A true leader recruits well for their team and delegates to the right members of the team, because all of us have different traits and strengths and weaknesses, and you need to be able to account for those. So the next thing is you want to create a team-oriented atmosphere. And when I teach leadership development, what I usually will do is I'll ask the participants to actually get a copy of this book, The Psychology of Persuasion. And it's actually a very, very easy read, but it really tells you a lot about how to persuade people. And I think that's important being a leader, because you really have to be able to motivate your team. You have to embrace the idea that each member of the team is important. And you have to remember that if one team member fails, often the whole team fails. So you want to create an atmosphere where each member is valued. The next thing is you want to encourage innovation, okay? Imagine if you were given a project where you were forced to do the same thing. It's always been done despite changing circumstances. So for example, since most of us are physicians, imagine if you were to run your practice today the same way you ran it last year. You're gonna end up with a lot of sick patients and doctors. So obviously you have to be willing to kind of change things. And so we don't want to be stagnant, and you wanna use innovation to basically motivate your team. So a true leader fosters an atmosphere where thoughts, ideas, and innovation are not only invited, but required. The next thing is recognize and reward good behavior. Have you ever worked on a project where your contribution was not recognized? You know that would be a true killer. It would really kill your enthusiasm. How about if someone else took or was given recognition for your work? That is a true way to kill the spirit of a team. So a good leader will have their finger on the pulse of the project. He's gonna know, or he or she's gonna know, who is contributing and what is it that they're contributing, and they will recognize and reward hard work. So a true leader is a just leader. The next thing is you have to hold people accountable. Imagine a project that's performed by 10 people, and 90% of the project is complete, but the remaining 10% cannot be completed because of the inaction of one person. Who is it that you hold accountable? Is it that one person? Is it the 10? In reality, it's actually 11 people, because you also have to hold yourself accountable as the leader. People are gonna work best when they are held accountable, and others on the team are also held accountable. So true leader is committed to accountability from the team and is also accountable to their team. The next thing is make sure everyone is growing. When I went through the leadership development program, it was a life-changing event for me. It really was. I really grew so much that one year. As a good leader, you always have to find ways to ensure that everyone in your team is growing. And in the LDP that we run, and the Asia Pacific one also does the same thing, and also the AAO one, we really teach this concept of inside colors. And it's a program where you learn to look at different people's personality traits, and you can use those traits to help manage your team better. So for example, if you have somebody who's very, very outgoing, you're going to maybe approach them a little differently than you do somebody who's very, very analytical. So you also, as a good leader, have to be decisive. You have to be able to make hard decisions. Good decisions are seldom easy and are also seldom risk-free. So you want to avoid indecision paralysis, where you're sitting there and over-analyzing things instead of making the decision. And one of the things that we teach in LDP is SWOT analysis, where you look at the strengths and the weaknesses, and you also look at external opportunities and threats, and you use that to actually help you make decisions. And so SWOT analysis helps with decision making, and it's a skill that good leaders will embrace. The last point I was going to make is the customer is always right. You have to start with the why. Why are you working on this project? Find out who your customer is. Is it patients? Is it other ophthalmologists? Is it coworkers? And you have to make sure that everyone on the team recognizes and puts the customer first. Your team will be more successful if you constantly know who and what they serve. And a good leader creates value by starting with the why. So in conclusion, LDP is powerful. For me, again, it was a life-changing event. The trajectory of every aspect of my life changed in 2011 to 2012. It's all-encompassing. It will teach you to lead not only professionally, but also in your eye society, at work, family, all sorts of arenas. LDP, though, we have to remember, is not a guarantee of success. It's what you make of it. I remember in the different classes that we've taught, not every student goes on to do tremendous things, but there are some people who are really able to take advantage of it and really do amazing stuff. LDP requires that you take a call. I remember when I did my LDP program, Mike Brennan always used to say that, you know, you have to be ready to take the call. So after I finished, I sat by my phone trying to wait for this phone call. But really what that meant is that you have to seek opportunity to lead. And then the last thing is LDP is cool. It's very rewarding, especially when you connect with global LDP. There are ophthalmology LDPers all over the world. I can say that there's very few countries where I would be able to travel and actually not know an ophthalmology who's connected to global LDP. And then in conclusion, this is our last class of our LDP. We had a meeting in Cape Town last year. We had hoped to have another meeting in Cape Town, South Africa this year at World Ophthalmology Congress, but because of COVID, we were not able to make it, but hopefully we'll be able to do that at some point. Thank you very much. And if you have any questions, I'll take questions.
Thank you. Thank you, Sid. I think wonderful. Everybody knows you're a great leader. And Namrata, you want to ask Sid any question where I know him? So, if you have any questions, Namrata? Or Neeru want to say something?
Yeah.
That was a very powerful talk, Sid, and I really enjoyed every bit of it. And this webinar has been really excellent for my personal growth, if I may say so, Dr. Natarajan. Thank you for organizing this.
Yeah, thank you, Narayanjan, for really organizing. This is an awesome event. Thank you.
Yeah, if I could just chime in, Sid, we've known each other actually through our program together in 2012. Time flies, so just great points, and I think every one of us can be better. And as you said, even as a leader yourself, myself in this position, we're all trying to be better so that we can serve others better. And I think that it's just a really important lesson. And thank you so much. It was a fabulous talk and great to see you, again.
Great to see you too.
If I may say, Sid, thank you so much. We were together last time in Cape Town, as you can remember. And what I really appreciated is that the whole group of teachers, lecturers, managed to, just to enthuse people. Not everyone comes recognizing that they have capacity for growth, for leadership. And it's very important that they are helped in the very beginning to discover those skills and to somehow, kind of become ambitious, become keen to explore, and try to be better. So congratulations on the program. We had good time last year. Unfortunately, we could not get together this year, as you explained, but we will continue.
Thank you so much, Ivo. Thank you for the kind words.
So, Ivo, I'm the next speaker, Ivo.
Yes,
Ivo?
sorry. Yeah.
No, I'm the next speaker. So,
Yeah, of course. So we will have now Professor Natarajan. Professor Natarajan has a very impressive record of accomplishments, of course. We know Natarajan as the expert in vitreoretinal surgery, of course, also as a third generation ophthalmologist coming from Madurai, from India. There are very high figures to present now on the number of patients and on number of successful surgeries and treatments accomplished, 60,000 exclusive vitreoretinal surgeries, hundreds of complicated cases successfully cured and sorted. We also know that, sorry, it's disappearing.
okay, sorry. No, I thought that's enough for you, I thought. So I thought I should start my talk, right?
Yes.
Ivo?
Yeah.
No,
I'm trying to introduce the slide, you know.
Yes.
So you would like to take it from here, or can I continue?
No, it's fine. I think, thank you, Ivo. So
Yeah.
I'll just, thank you very much. So, and I'm happy the whole idea is to stimulate and inspire young ophthalmologists. That's the reason I organized this. I'll just share my talk. So you can see my screen? Yeah. So my talk is on seeing the positive in the midst of COVID-19. Right. So I actually wanted to quote, transform and lead the way. I am comparing life lessons from the infinite wisdom of Kung Fu Panda and my life. And I think we started with a spiritual talk and about how to empty your mind, be cool. And then we had Sid talking about excellence as a leader. So I thought I just, because of the COVID, a lot of people are upset, and particularly young people, when they just finished their course or just were starting their career, and they're all upset. Fellowships are a problem, the junior. So I think during this COVID time, I actually gave a talk saying that how to be happy. So for that, you have to believe, and you must believe, like the Ugwe to Po in this Kung Fu Panda. And what can we do to make a difference? We have the power to choose how we are going to react to our predicament. There is an opportunity to reflect, learn, and grow to be a better version of ourselves. Let's explore some valuable lessons which our friends from the movie Kung Fu Panda have taught us while comparing the same with some lesson from my own life. So the movie is about the Po, the panda, the fun-loving, happy, adopted son of a duck who owns a small noodle shop. Po dreams of achieving great feats in Kung Fu and being a part of the Furious Five, the best Kung Fu team in China. And as the movie progresses, Po is chosen to be the dragon warrior by the wise master Ugwe. A fat panda, the dragon warrior, no one believed him. And it's like, and thought Master Ugwe was wrong. People discouraged him, and yet he undertook the arduous journey which rewarded him with the title of the Dragon Warrior. And I want every young person, whether maybe a doctor or engineer or whatever he may be, or young, old, but I am interested in inspiring young people that anybody can be a dragon warrior in your own field, whether it's ophthalmology or any field you choose. I was just born in the Temple City, which is one of the ancient cities of India, in Madurai, where we have the famous Meenakshi Amman temple, and that's me with my parents. Well, my parents are no more with me. I have my grandmother who lives with me. This is with my parents and grandparents. And I want to say that somehow, without realizing, I saw my father wearing tie to the hospital, and I started wearing tie from my younger days. So many people think that I'm born with a tie. And somebody asked me in one of the webinars, do you go to the shower with the tie? So that's what I do. And I think the main thing which I want to convey to the young people is the success mantra. Our mantra is the success formula is a real warrior never quits. And if you see the movie, the Kung Fu Panda wants to find out what is that secret recipe which is for success. But you'll see at the end of this presentation. And one of the Uguay lesson is yesterday is history, and everybody keeps worrying about it. Tomorrow is mystery. Like nobody knows how the practice is going to be next month, or what will happen to our society, what's going to happen to the American Academy President, whether we're going to have a virtual meeting, which is now a virtual meeting, and what's going to happen in all India. We have our annual conference in 2021. We are still struggling. The scientific chairman wants to do it a regular meeting, but we don't know how it's going to be, because our regular meeting is in February 2021, and that's tomorrow. So it's a mystery. And today is a gift, and that's why it's called the present. And the English meaning present in the grammar is equal to actually a gift. So I think the moment, we have to learn to live the moment and plan and learn from the past, that is from the history, and plan for the future. And people actually mix up, and during the present, they worry about the past. And then by the time there's a book called Power of Now, and when actually every minute is the power of now. And instead of remembering now, they worry about future or worry about the past. And both, so doesn't get anything. So don't dwell on the past and don't think about, but I also don't think about the future. It does not mean that you should not plan. Thinking and worrying is what I meant. And this is what the Grandmaster Uguay says. Look at this tree. I cannot make it blossom when it suits me, nor make it bear fruit before it stands. No matter what you do, that seed of peach will grow to be the peach tree. And what do you do? What do you do have is this day, this moment, and seize it. And that's what all of us have. Live this moment. That means when I am talking, and I expect everybody who's in this to listen to me, the idea, that's what is my entire idea of the whole program. Contemplate, meditate, self-evaluate. You will emerge as a stronger and a more powerful version of yourself. And we are talking about leader, and we want to be a strong. And today is our Independence Day in India, and yesterday was in Pakistan. Every leader wanted to actually give a motivational talk, and that's what that does. So this is a slide I made about 10 years back as one of the LDP. So this is when I was in South America. So never think of the past, and it brings tears. And don't think of the future, it brings fear. And this is what all the youngsters will. And live this second, it brings tears. So I always, like many times, my teacher used to say, hey, come up showing your teeth, man, all the time. You can see the three of us showing the teeth. I think and I'm learning meditation and in the morning, and the meditation teacher tells me, come on, keep smiling while doing the meditation, while doing the pranaya or the breathing exercise. So the lesson number 2 is there is no easy way to mastery, and this is what the Tigers done. It took Tigers 20 years to develop fists of steel, and if you know, there's no shortcut, only practice. And that's what Malcolm Gladwell has mentioned, that when you have to practice and become like a Beethoven or a Michelangelo, you have to spend 10,000 hours in your time. And that's what I've done in vitreoretinal surgery, and now the same I'm doing in leadership. I think unless you spend time, and the same thing Mimi also mentioned about practice how to become a perfectionist, to give a talk and inspire young people. And that's my mentor who made me a vitreoretinal surgeon. And I not only learned surgery, but I learned many things from him as a leader. He is the man who brought the American ophthalmology to India in the 1971. That means almost 50 years back, and he's still alive, and he's a chairman emeritus of Shankar Nethralaya, which is one of the biggest eye hospital and ranked number 1 in many the various analysis. And the Adi Shankaracharya is another spiritual leader we had hundreds of years back, who said, not by penance, not by visiting holy rivers, not by reading scriptures, not by chanting mantras, but only by performing selfless service to humanity, one can cross the ocean of life. And I think you learned that from the beginning of the talk, from Didi, and also from Dadaji, and you saw, we have to perform selfless service to humanity. No harm, and there's nowhere it's written that by doing a professional service, you cannot charge. And maybe you mentioned about training and then giving talk, and also for money. And I think all of us have to do professional job to get a professional fee, and that's what I tell the patient. But you can still do the same with a selfless motive, and then people like us, few of us can do service, and we have doctors like Dr. Namrata who's working in the government, and every patient is treated free. So the mark of a true hero or a leader is humility, and that's what we learned in the first talk. And Master Shifu mentions that if you only do what you can do, you will never be more than what you are right now. And this is Master Shifu's lesson. And when you listen to Sid, he mentioned the same. What you were doing last year in the practice, if you do the same, it's not going to work. And if you want a different result, stop doing what you are doing right now. Dare to be different and dare to go out of the box. You do not have to follow the crowd. If you do, most people do, you'll get what most people get. Hence, think outside the box and be different. And I think be different, but not indifferent. And I think I love spreading happiness. And in Hindi, we say, Kushiyan Batne ka. And that's what I do. I think I spread happiness wherever you go. And this is what in the end of the movie you see, your mind is like water, my friend. And when it is agitated, it becomes difficult to see. You can see this here. This is the secret in that movie. But if you allow it to settle, he reaches the top of the ceiling, which is about almost 100 feet above. And then when he goes there, there's no secret recipe. And he says, look down in the water. And when the water stands still, you can see the reflection. That means you can see your own mind. And that's what Dadaji mentioned, cleaning your mind. And your mind is like water. And on self-reflection, you have the power to respond proactively and find solutions in any situation. So I think, as I learned from Dalai Lama, you clean your mind, and I think you have to do that daily. And same thing like physical exercise, you do mental exercise, and same thing as a leadership. You have no limitations in life. The only limitation is you have the ones you place on yourself. That means you decide that you cannot do it. And if you're a leader and you say you can do it, you will do it. And these times of uncertainty, particularly during the COVID, one needs to focus on growing from challenges and turning stumbling blocks into a stepping stone. Lesson number 5 is to make something special. You just have to believe it. And that's how I started the talk. And it's special. And I think the whole program, I think Mike asked me in the trial session, how many hours did you? I didn't calculate, but I wanted to confess here. About few, I usually don't give up or get upset. But I think a few hours back, I was a little upset with something when it was not going wrong. But I learned that by meditating, that you have to be cool and you expect things to work out well. And instead of finding fault with your colleagues or juniors or the IT team or the company which supported or the society, I think I took the responsibility and I said, whatever is going wrong is me. And whatever is going well is because of ICO and AOS and AAO. So I think you need to believe that you are special and there is no secret ingredient. And that's what Mr. Ping says. Having come from a discipline and traditional practice, that this word is chalta hai. That means you just say, no, it's all right, don't worry. So this is where I started Aditya Jyoth in 1990. You can see my mentor. It was an ordinary building. Everybody told me, you cannot do it. So I, like a child, I decided that I can convert the building into a hospital. That's what I did. And then, so you must let go of the illusion of control. And in December 2019, if somebody has told you that 2020, what it looked like, would have believed it? I think in India, a lot of people believe astrology and said all sorts of things. Nobody knew that Corona will come. And lesson number 7, get ready to dance with the danger. And in order to become the successful person you want to, you must learn to level up yourself through the hardship that are there to test you. So I think every day you'll have hardship. Learn to dance with your problem and not run away from them. And learn from your mistakes and failures and never give up. And that's what I learned. And that's what I learned in leadership. Never give up. And I think you can fall down. And that's what Dr. Abdul Kalam says. He likes the waves in the ocean because it's not that just because it rises. After every fall, it rises up. So this is a photograph taken in 2005, 15 years back, was there in the newspaper. I couldn't identify myself. That's me dancing in a disco. So there's a chapter in a spiritual book called, and then the chapter called Dance of Nataraja. And for the Westerners who doesn't know, my name is Natarajan, and Nataraja means the Lord of Dances, the Lord Shiva. So how do we dance like that? Your dance for happiness, you'll not get happiness. You dance out of happiness. And so you don't dance for happiness, you dance out of happiness. And the number 8, your real strength comes from being the best you can be. Who are you and what are you good at and what makes you a you? And your strength comes from you doing your best. And lesson number 9, you are the master of your destiny. No one and nothing can come in between you and your destiny. take destiny by the horns and have fun. The same thing has been told in Chicago by Swami Vivekananda, and that's where in the Arts Center in Chicago, we have the Swami Vivekananda, which is preserved thanks to the Chicago County for that. And also there's this Vivekananda Road there in the end of the Magnificent Mile. And he says the same, you're the creator of your destiny. So don't blame anybody. Don't blame like good luck and bad luck. Everything is created by you. So this is Swami Vivekananda. He's a constant inspiration for me is stand up, be bold, be strong, take the whole responsibility on your shoulders and know that you are the creator of your own destiny. And that's what is the entire program I've taken, that 4 hours and 4 hours. When I thought about 8-hour program, I didn't think how many people will stay and how many will not. I know it is recorded, it will be there in the YouTube and Facebook, but still, I think everybody can learn something. No one can decide how you live your life. So stop making excuse for the bad things that happen to you and own up to the fact that you are the only thing that is holding yourself back. Allow yourself to go those wings and soar up high in the sky where you are meant to be. Start having fun and enjoying every minute of your day, knowing that it is taking you one step closer to your destiny. Paul Coelho mentions that when you want something, the entire universe conspires in helping you to achieve it. And this is there. And the lesson number 10, embrace your awesomeness. And the power of positive thinking affects your action. Po the Panda demonstrated that by letting go of his self-limiting belief, he was able to become the dragon, the warrior. Many times, maybe your teacher says you are not good, you're an idiot, you're something, but I think just leave it, dust it off. Same lesson, the teacher may be right. That particular moment, you may be an idiot. And I think you have the power to determine your mindset, regardless of outside influences. You can't change life's events. However, you can control how you react to them. And that's what I've learned. Don't react. Actually, you have to learn to respond. That means there is a stimulus, something affects you, you think, don't react immediately. Think for some time. Take time, maybe seconds, hours, days, weeks, months, but then respond. And when you focus on the positive, the whole world opens to you. And have a good intention. It's a game changer. And then power of thoughts. This is what I believe, which is there in thousands of years in India, which has been written by Rhonda Byrne. That is what you become, what you think you become. And world is the manifestation of the inner self. The lesson number 11, that's the final lesson from this movie and probably from my life too. Your story may not have such a happy beginning, but that does not make you who you are. It is the rest of you who you choose to be. Nobody knows what I was in 20 years back, 30 years back, but everybody is looking at something like I'm looking at somebody, looking at how he is now. And I think everybody wants to look back and see, how did you do that? And everybody wants to know the secret recipe. So I want to acknowledge my Dr. Ashana here and Dr. Aishwarya, who helped me in preparing this, Dr. Tishita, my executive Lakshmi, who's there, who worked with me day and night, and Dr. Abhishek, who helped me. And that's the team I cannot forget. Without my team, that's my hospital, who helped me to run my practice. When I'm now sitting at home and doing the program, the hospital is running. And I take this opportunity to thank the International Council of Ophthalmology, the All India Ophthalmic Society, American Academy of Ophthalmology, and the entire ophthalmology fraternity, and specifically God and Sadhu Vaswani Mission for giving me this opportunity for organizing and the talk. And I'm happy to take some questions and then we can move. I can see Cynthia, Paul, Mike, Gail, all my mentors, and we have Dr. Ivo to start the discussion.
Thank you very much. It was wonderful. What I mostly appreciated, your proactive approach to any situation in life, sort of never give up. So that's definitely a very strong message. Now, do we have any comments, suggestions, questions?
I just want to echo that. I think Professor you're definitely, this is your calling because you certainly lifted us all up. Your presentation was beautiful. And I think every single one of us could relate to all of those slides. I think, there's maybe it's possible that many of the young people that are watching believe that sort of things just happen, and some people are lucky and some people not. And I think that we all have our scars, and we all have our our tripping points through our journeys, and we've learned through them. And I think the key is never give up, control your thoughts, learn to respond. And it is training, and sometimes the training is long, and it's personal training. And I'm very appreciative to you, Professor Natarajan, to really, building this program for the community under your leadership, to really put a spotlight on the mind piece of leadership, which is brings a whole very holistic approach to other than, beyond the mechanics or the do's and the don'ts, what to do, what not to do, but how to handle things, and especially in this uncertain time. So thank you very much. I'm looking at the screen here, and I see, Mike Brennan and Paul Chan and Cindy Bradford and Sid and Gail. There you are. I mean, we've known each other for many years and shared stories and experiences, and it's a journey. And so for all of the young people out there, listen to Professor Natarajan. He knows what he's talking about. Every slide of that was there. If you luckily this is being recorded, so you can go to the YouTube channels and it'll be up later. And for those who missed it or know friends who wanted to see it, it'll all be there and will resonate tomorrow and the next day. So thank you, Professor Natarajan.
Thank you, Dr. Natarajan. I think it was a great talk, and I know him personally and professionally, and I know how true every single word on that slide is. And he actually lives it. It's not that he, just professes it. And I think he's a great asset to All India Ophthalmological Society and also to the World Ophthalmology Leadership Program. Thank you so much. Thank you, Dr. Natarajan. Excellent.
Thank you, Martha.
I've never heard you talking. I've never heard you talking so well like you talked today. Excellent.
Thank you so much. Any more suggestions, comments? We have a busy program, of course, and those words which were shared by Professor Natarajan will kind of resonate for the rest of today and definitely tomorrow, and they will be with us. So why shouldn't we move on now and go to the next speaker? Nati, I don't have the agenda on the screen. Can you help us to see who is now coming next? Thank you.
And Mike, you want to say something?
Mike, you have to unmute.
You are muted. You are muted.
I think, Mike, you have to unmute. We can't hear you. You have to unmute. Admin, can you please unmute Mike?
I'm trying.
Yeah, perfect. Okay, done.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, perfect.
Yes.
Perfect.
Yes.
All right, good. I don't know why it's going out. All right. I don't know. I would, I guess, introduce my colleagues if that's what you want, Dr. Natarajan.
Yeah. I'm just, can you see the screen now?
Yes.
Okay, so I have you now. So no, I just want to know whether you are my teacher in the American Academy of Ophthalmology or my mentor. So I'm happy that you trained me, and I'm happy to be faculty along with you today. So we have Dr. Michael Brennan with us, who's a retired comprehensive ophthalmologist. Dr. Brennan was the president of American Academy of Ophthalmology and now an international NY, and I learn a lot every day from him. And 1966 West Point graduate. Dr. Brennan later received a master's in aeronautics and astronautics from Stanford University. He served as an Army aviator in Vietnam an instructor at West Point, and was a finalist in the NASA Space Shuttle selection process. He received his Doctor of Medicine degree from the University of Texas, San Antonio in 1978, completed his residency in ophthalmology at Brooke Army Med Center and Fort Sam Houston, Texas, and served as the chief of surgery at Fort Bragg, NC. He enjoyed single specialty group ophthalmology practice in Burlington, NC, with his partners, staff, and patients from 1986 to 2016. And Dr. Brennan is a member of a number of international ophthalmology societies and has conducted leadership development programs for young physicians in many Latin American, European, and Asia-Pacific nations. Interspersed were National Medical Society reconstitution activities in the Middle East, sponsored by US Defense and State Departments, and most recent activity has been annual leadership program for young ophthalmologists in Central Asian and West African nations. And we have Dr. Dan, who's not able to join us, who's the graduate of AO again and a director of AO LDP 2003 to 8 and faculty LDP 2003. And we have Cynthia, she's with us. Dr. Bradford is a professor of ophthalmology in the Department of Ophthalmology, University of Oklahoma College of Medicine, Dean Magee Eye Institute. And Dr. Bradford has been active in teaching throughout her career. She has authored modules and books to teach ophthalmology to medical students and primary care physicians. She has been the executive editor for the American Academy of Ophthalmology text, Basic Ophthalmology, which is used to teach students in most medical schools in the United States, and has been translated in both Chinese and Russian languages. And Dr. Cynthia, you will be happy to know that even India we buy every year, and many doctors use that. And for over 25 years, she was the coordinator for medical student and primary care resident education in ophthalmology at OU. She was a member of the AO Section 11 Basic and Clinical Science Committee, responsible for teaching text on cataract and lens. For over 20 years, she has taught the University of Oklahoma ophthalmology residents to perform cataract surgery. 2017, president of the American Academy of Ophthalmology, senior, and that's where it was great to be there. And I've attended the American Academy for the last 31 years continuously. Senior Secretary for Advocacy, American Academy of Ophthalmology, Secretary for State Affairs for the American Academy of Ophthalmology, Associate Secretary for State Affairs, AO, Faculty of AO, LDP, that's where she mentored me, Associate Examiner of the American Board of Ophthalmology, member of the ABO Crew Committee, Medicare Career Advisory Committee member, past board member of the Baptist General Convention of Oklahoma, past president of the Oklahoma Academy of Ophthalmology, participated in the implantable miniature telescope for age-related macular degeneration. And we have Dr. Paul Chan. He's a MD, MSc, MBA. He's a professor and chair of the Department of Ophthalmology and Visual Sciences, and the John H. Panton, MD, professor of ophthalmology at the Illinois Eye and Ear Infirmary, University of Illinois at Chicago. Dr. Chan received his BA from the University of Pennsylvania, MD from the Temple University School of Medicine, MSc from Weill Cornell Medical College, and MBA from University of Chicago's Booth School of Business, and after ophthalmology residence at the New York Presbyterian Hospital of WCMC, he went on to a fellowship in vitreoretinal surgery at the Mass Eye and Ear Infirmary at Harvard Medical School. Dr. Chan, 9 years of faculty at the WCMC as director of the retinal service and vitreoretinal fellowship before moving to UIC in 2015. Dr. Chan is a global leader in pediatric blindness prevention and ROP. His research focuses on utilizing new technology and imaging techniques to better evaluate and manage children with retinal disease. He has authored over 150 peer-reviewed articles and receives grant funding from the NIH, the NSF, and a number of charitable foundations. He has served on the Global One Advisory Board and the Ethics Committee of the American Academy of Ophthalmology, and is on the Executive Committee for the Pan American Association of Ophthalmology, PAO. Dr. Chan also serves as the Secretary for Global Alliance for the AAO and Chair for the ROP Committee of the International Pediatric Ophthalmology and Strabismus Council, IPOSC. So I'll be happy to have. And then finally, we have Gail, who's my mentor, Director, Ophthalmic Society Relations, American Academy of Ophthalmology, staffs at the AAO Leadership Development Program since inception in 1990. Staff license on other development issues to 52 state territorial societies and 27 subspecialty specialized interest societies. Staff the academic council, 103 ophthalmologists, the policy advisory body to the board of trustees, director efforts of your committee and its 3 subcommittees, your international, your info editorial board, and your advocacy. And you are the person we needed because we are having a your program tomorrow. And director efforts of senior ophthalmologist committee charged with addressing the interests of active and retired age and older, leads implementation of the academy's mid-year. And she is a great asset to academy and to people like us. So I am stop sharing the screen, and Mike, to you and all of you for the session, and along with Ivo. And I already introduced Ivo in the beginning, the CEO of the ICO, along with all of us, and Niru also here. Mike?
I keep zooming out. I'm sorry. Jeez. Doesn't seem to want to hold.
No, we can see you. Mike, we're
Yes.
able to. No, we can hear you. Oh, you're muted again. You are muted again. Now you are muted. No, you were all right before. No, you are muted. No, you are muted. No, you are muted again. Can
I think Cindy ought to, I think,
No,
can you
you're
hear
on,
me
you're
now?
on now. No, Mike, you're on now.
we can hear
Go
you?
ahead.
I
Now.
think,
Yes, we can hear you.
And now I'm gone.
No, you're there. You're there.
it's intermittent. Cindy, maybe.
Go ahead.
So I guess I'll go ahead and go on. Mike, are you there? Are you there now?
You keep hitting mute.
You're still muted. Can someone control the mute centrally?
Yeah, does someone have a master control?
Go ahead. Cindy,
There you
go
go,
ahead.
Mike. We can
Okay,
hear
you're
you,
on
Mike.
now, Mike.
Don't
You're
touch
on now.
anything.
I
Don't
think
touch
that
anything.
I think that there's an issue with his mute button. It's flickering, so he's not able to
There.
keep it on for long enough. He gets it on, but then it turns off. Maybe Cindy, would you?
Yes.
Yes. I'll go ahead.
Cindy,
So Mike's back now.
go ahead, Cindy.
Okay, all right. So, Dr. Natarajan, thank you so much for inviting us. It's very exciting to be back with everybody because we've been so alone in our own little houses, Zooming with people, but it's great to see you. So I live about 3 hours north of Dr. Gieshru, and as he started, I was like, it's kind of like we talked, but we didn't. Sid is simply wonderful. And it's been so much fun watching him become who he is. And so I'm just going to say a little bit, and that's that your leaders, we're not talking about how to be a leader, but your leaders, and the question always comes up, what do you do? How do you accomplish things? Because you're now in the leadership role.
If I hit
and how do you accomplish things within your organization? How do you accomplish things between organizations?
I can get unmuted for a minute, but it won't stay unmuted. So I'm sorry.
Mike, we can hear you.
So you have to realize one person cannot do it all. I love Sid's picture of sitting on an island. And you can't change everything in an organization in a year, and you can't change the world in a year. Although 2020, I think we figured out a pandemic does kind of change our world. And as a leader, your mindset has to be service. It's not what others can do for you because you're in leadership. It's what can you do for your organizational. And true leadership is being useful. And so within your group, you have to decide what needs to be accomplished. create a plan, get input from all involved parties. If you plan something without meeting with the involved parties, things are not going to happen well. But you have to do that before you start action. If you start action without including your coalition within your organization or with other organizations you may be impacting, then you're setting yourself up for frustration and failure, because nobody likes being left out. And it sounds so easy. You get everybody together, you get input, you make your decision, but you have to constantly be sure that your coalition, your people that you're with you, and you can't assume once you get buy-off, hey, this is the plan we're going to do, that they're going to keep following you. You have to keep going back to your people that are involved, whether it's in your organization or other organizations you're working with, and you have to talk to them, and you have to be sure that they don't have new problems or new concerns. And the final thing I want to say is something else that Sid said: your communications are critical. The older I get, the more I realize you say something and you think, I said that really clearly, but the other ears that are listening don't hear that, and they were hearing something else. So you need to be sure that your communications are clear and that you follow up and make sure everybody is on the same page. If you've ever been at Disney World with a family and said, you go here, you go there, we're going to meet back at this place at this time, and somebody shows up the next day, somebody shows up an hour later, you have to be sure that everybody does have their marching orders. And then once you've set all this up, once again, repeating what's been said, but I think it's very important. You can say words, but you have to match with your actions and to be effective. There's so many examples that come up from the LDP projects. One of them is the AAP, the Advocacy Ambassador Program. Should have been easy. We're setting this up all with the Academy, but we had some partnerships that we had to do. One of them was the academic departments. They released the residents to come to Washington, D.C. The Academy had to pay for their meals, no registration. We set up seminars for them, and that cost money. And then the state societies were going to help fund them. Well, there were a problem because state societies enough before we implemented. Gail's smiling. Because it's coming out of their coffers, and state societies don't have money. So you have to adjust, but you have to keep coming back, and every year we would see who had new problems in order to work out our program, and it's very successful now. But it's what we all have to do anytime we want to accomplish one single thing. So Mike, is your...
Trying.
No. That's so weird. This is kind of what happened to me the other night.
Somehow I think you can, yeah, your son can help, I think.
Can you hear him now?
Yes.
Yes, we can hear you. That
Awesome.
looks good.
Don't touch anything.
Don't touch.
It's my grandson. All right. You hear me?
Yes.
Now. Can you hear me?
Yes.
All right. Yes. Yes?
Yes.
Yes, we can hear you, Mike.
No. I think it's going to the unmute. I don't know why it's going to the mute. Mike? I don't know why it's going to.
He's muted. But maybe while...
How about Gail? Comments, Gail? Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yes, we can hear you now.
Don't touch your computer at all.
Go ahead, Gail. Go ahead,
Sure.
Gail. I think it'll be great for everybody. Yeah.
Sure. First, I'd like to really thank Professor Natarajan, the ICO, and the All India Ophthalmological Society for this great opportunity to speak with this wonderful program. As Dr. Natarajan mentioned, I am not an ophthalmologist, but I am on staff at the American Academy of Ophthalmology's headquarter offices in San Francisco. I've had the great pleasure to be the staff lead on the Academy's LDP since its inception. And it's really wonderful to hear comments like Sid made during his presentation when he said it was a life-changing experience for him. The first class graduated in 1999, and we welcomed our 23rd class this past June. I also staff the Academy's Young Ophthalmologist Committee and its 3 subcommittees. And the Academy is really excited to see the growth in what we call the YO movement with great leaders such as Diva Kant Misra and others around the globe. I just wanted to give you a few stats about the Academy's LDP. At the staff level, we're definitely tracking outcomes and progress of the Academy's graduates. Of the 383 graduates from 1999 to 2019, we've had 205 that have served as U.S. State Ophthalmological Society presidents, so around 54%. And this has really tremendously helped the Academy train leaders at the state level, particularly during scope of practice battles. The LDP graduates come away with more confidence. They've built a network of colleagues that they can call on around the country, and also certainly with the Academy leaders that have mentored them. 52 graduates have served as either the president or chair of a subspecialty or specialized interest society. 12 have served as both a state and subspecialty society president or chair. Almost all the graduates have served at some level of committee or task force on the Academy, and 25 have served at the highest level of the Academy, either on the Board of Trustees or the Committee of Secretaries. 3 Academy LDP grads have risen to the highest level and as presidents. Russ Van Gelder, Keith Carter, and our 2021 president is Tamara Fountain, who graduated in the first LDP class. Starting in 2002, we held a slot for the nomination of an international LDP participant. And some of our international LDP grads have certainly gone on to lead the national and supranational organizations, such as Neera Gupta, it's so nice to see her here on this program. Stefan Saragard with the European Society of Ophthalmology. Of course, Sid, who we heard from earlier as leading the African Ophthalmology Council LDP, and finally Professor Natarajan, who has done just an outstanding job leading the India Society's LDP for many years. One of the principles in our selection process, and this I would call certainly an essential management skill, is the consideration of diversity and inclusion in leadership. Each year when we select the incoming class, the selection committee seriously focuses on gender diversity, race diversity, practice diversity, and geographic diversity, leading to a really well-rounded class each year. I wanted to give you an example for gender. The Academy's current membership is made up of 75% male and 25% female. And certainly we're expecting an increase in the number of female members growing over time, given the numbers of females in residency. The makeup of the Academy's LDP grads is 67% male and 33% female. So I believe we're doing a really very good job of mirroring the Academy's future membership makeup. So I would say to you that if you're in a position to develop a committee or a task force, or you're responsible for developing a meeting agenda, to be really mindful of not doing what's easy. That is selecting your friends or those you know well, and really to cast your net wide, a diverse committee or task force, as that will only bring you wider perspectives and ideas. And this certainly applies to including the young ophthalmologists. We're trying to include their perspectives in the academy. We've made a very concerted effort to include YOs and the YO voice on major committees and secretariats at the board level. And just as importantly is to include YOs on the podium at important academy meetings. So I wanted to mention 3 other essential management skills that I see as a staff person for physician leaders. Number 1 is delegation, and Sid certainly touched on this, to really consider the skills and the expertise that your entire team and committee brings to the table and really try to maximize on that. The second is if you're in a leader position that has a given term, let's say you're in a position for a year, really to think about reasonable goal setting. I see so many state ophthalmology society presidents come into their position, they have a year, and they have 15 things they want to get done and never really completely finish any of them because it's an unreasonable amount of goals to accomplish during their term. So really think about that. And I think the final one I really want to mention is a leader's role in succession planning. The best physician leaders that I've seen are those who help to identify and groom their successors, not when their term is practically over, but really early on. And this is where Mike Brennan does a fantastic job, Cindy Bradford as well. They're already grooming their successor early on, mentoring them along so that when they become the president or chair of a committee, they're ready to roll into the position seamlessly. I think that's a really important skill that not everyone thinks about. When they become a leader, they're only thinking about, I want to be successful, but part of your success as a leader is being successful in succession planning. Lastly, I'd like to say I've worked with Mike Brennan for over 20 years. I know how he thinks. I can pretty much finish his sentences. And we have very open, honest, and direct communication. I'm a staffer. He's the physician leader. I feel comfortable disagreeing with him because there's mutual respect and trust. And I think I will stop there and see if Mike can unmute.
Now can you hear me? You can hear me?
Yes, don't touch your mic.
Thank you. I'm holding the space bar as instructed. I was instructed to hold the space bar. Can you hear me? I was instructed to hold the space bar. So I want to thank everyone. I think I'll probably not say very much. When you get to be 77, you don't have to wear a tie and you don't have to show up on time necessarily. And you probably don't even have to give your speech, it appears. So I didn't have a speech. I did want to say that we did this because the next generation was not able to have a seat at the table 20 years ago. There were too many old guys with gray hair who would not give way to the next generation or to the female population, women in ophthalmology. And things have changed considerably. I'm delighted to see it changing around the world. And I thank Dr. Natarajan for this opportunity to have a global format at a tough time. I thank the International Council for their leadership in international leadership development. Central America and in fact, Sub-Sahara wouldn't be going the way they are without the ICO's influence. And I would hope that we can keep that going strong. Alliances are critical. This is not about individuals, as all of us have said today. This is not about me, it's about us. And I'll just stop and thank Dr. Natarajan again. We could take questions if there are any from the audience. Paul hasn't had a chance to talk yet, so it's probably time for him to let us know what's going on.
That was perfect, Mike. The space bar solved the problem. Can you hear me okay?
Perfect, perfect.
Yeah, so I'm not sure if I have much more to add after Cindy, Gail, and Sid and Mike. But first off, thanks very much to Professor Natarajan, the ICO, and also the All India Ophthalmological Society. So thanks Niru and Evo for organizing this with Professor Natarajan. So, you know, I think that just to reiterate everything that everybody said, you know, leadership is about service. I'll sort of reflect back on my story, and I'm probably, you know, as Mike said, you know, I think I might be on the younger side. I first met Gail when I was a young ophthalmologist, and she's seen me maybe grow up. I think, you know, Mike, I remember when I first met you in Buenos Aires, Argentina, at the Pan American Ophthalmological Society meeting, Academy of Ophthalmology, and you sat me down and you just started talking to me and started asking me questions, right? You weren't telling me what to do. You were just asking me questions about my interests and what I was doing. And you said, you know what, Paul, you should really get involved with the LDP. And it just you know, it sparked. And, you know, I was class of 2014, I believe, Gail. And like Sid, it changed my life, right? So all the things that you mentioned in terms of succession planning, in terms of Sid mentioning showing up, delegating, all these lessons that I learned during that year and through my time with the Academy have really been instrumental in my development as a person and also professionally as an ophthalmologist and in my sort of day job in an academic center. And, you know, to Mike's point, I think that it's all about alliances, right? So in the Academy, my role is the Secretary for Global Alliances, and it's all about collaboration, right? So I think that it's about us and not me. You know, so there are a lot of things here that I think for the ICO, for All India Ophthalmological Society, for the Academy, for AOC, all these organizations that we work with, Pan American, it's a collaborative group of people working together for the same reason, right? For our profession and for our patients, and for education. So it's an incredibly powerful group. And I've met all of you during the course of my career, which is a lot of the fun part. It's too bad we can't be in person, but the virtual platform, I think, has really changed the way that we do things. You know, just reflecting back, and I think Dr. Natarajan wanted me to talk a little bit about communication. You know, and I think many people talked about this already, and especially during this COVID-19 pandemic. And you know, how do we lead when we can't actually be in person, when we can't travel, you know, when we're not connecting globally the way that we usually do, right? And being present and being with each other. And I think that this is one way, obviously, with the virtual platforms. But I think that we've all faced in our daily lives, and especially for the young ophthalmologists, you know, what is leadership? And it goes back to, again, leadership is service. And when I look at there's a picture on the AO LDP front page, which is you're going up a hill, and there's a row of people. I'm not sure, I don't believe there's a line, but there's a row of people. And I remember the initial question was, who's the leader, right? Is the person in the front or the person in the back? I tend to think I'm the person, the person in the back is leading the way, pushing everyone forward. And when you keep, you know, one thing in mind, everybody's a leader. And I think during this pandemic, one of the things that we realized is that there was no playbook to this, right? Nobody really knew how to manage this type of situation. And I think we all learned from each other, and we all mentored each other through this incredibly challenging time. So, you know, I think one of the first rules of communication is to listen, right? To listen very intently and clearly to what every stakeholder has to say, right? Synthesize that information, come up with a plan as a group, as a collective, and then listen again, right, to the feedback, and then implement, right? But One other lesson that I think we all learn is that you have to have multiple methods of communication, right? So sending an email may not be enough, right? Some people don't read their email. Having conversations and touch points constantly, I think, are critical. And just reflecting back on the academy perspective, learning how to pivot, when you think that something isn't going right. So we've been having these discussions. We send emails out, we send e-blasts, but we're also constantly communicating with the people that we're in touch with, right? Our membership, our physicians, our patients. And just one of the things that you realize too is that everyone is right? So everyone who has an opinion, and they may not disagree with you all the time, right? But what you have to do is sit back and listen and say, well, there's probably a lot of truth to what they're saying. Let's figure out how to work through that and see if there's something that we can resolve. So, communication is absolutely critical, but I think the key to communication is one, this consistency, but also listening to all the stakeholders and processing that so that you can create a proper action plan. But I'll finish up. LDP is a phenomenal program. It's changed my life. We've had incredible friends, like Sid and Professor Natarajan, and mentors Mike, Gail, and Cindy. Niru, Ivo, wonderful. I've met you for many years. And thanks for the opportunity to be here.
And it's really great to have all of you. And I think I learned from Cindy and Mike and Gail is develop somebody to follow you. So I think I'm happy. I'm grateful to AOS for calling me as a mentor, but we have an academic and research committee. I hope she's joining Dr. Chitra now, and previously Dr. Partha. Then before that we had Dr. Ajit Babu. They do the program, and I'm a speaker there. Dr. Chitra has joined already. So she's the one who's carrying the LDP in India, and thanks to our Dr. Namrata and others. And I see Dr. Ravi Goyal, who's a part of AO, but I've taken him in the AOS session, in the coming session. And maybe Sid or Dr. Niru and Ivo to talk about the the national societies and come together as world leaders.
Yes, so if I can share a couple of observations. First of all, of course, thank you for this opportunity. I think what we have exchanged is mostly based on our programs which we are preparing for our members of our member societies, particularly those who are interested in professional growth, who recognize their, say, appetite for achieving more, for being able to lead teams, for eventually being able to lead national societies, but also some other experiences. This is the privileged time when, of course, through ICO and our member societies, we are already meeting leaders. But before joining ICO, I spent almost 20 years with WHO. I was in charge of a global program, which was dealing with eye care globally. And during that period, I met different type of, let's say, and different needs for leadership development. There were predominantly ophthalmologists and specialists from ministries of health, and the leadership skills they needed were particularly around them empowering their teams to realize that they can compete with other health issues, other health agendas, and that ophthalmology and particularly eye health, eye care is very important for our communities. So there was a very different leadership empowering series of programs through national workshops, regional workshops, or even global workshops and gatherings. So, you know, there are various ways when leadership skills can be used and various settings where they can be applied. But even before that, I was privileged to work with the university eye department back in my native country, which is Czech Republic. I was in Prague with the university eye department there. And there was an idea which I brought back actually after my year of studying ophthalmology in the United States, how to make the starting ophthalmologists, and it was brought up here repeatedly, owning their future, owning their professional life. And again, it was not leading teams, it was not dealing with ministries of health, it was just dealing with their own individual future, realizing that they can make a change. You know, particularly in the 90s when Europe was changing, there was kind of cultural attitude which was rather passive, kind of fatalistic. Someone will do it for me. I don't have enough ophthalmoscope. There must be someone who will get it for me. And we went through many site visits, through many teaching programs, through the center, which was brand new, built with now more than 3,000 graduates. And I must say, and I'm very proud, that those who started with us now in many countries run university or other eye departments, even have private clinics, but very well established private clinics. And that was a critical time when many young ophthalmologists were actually helped to realize, no, it's not that there is someone waiting for me to help me with my future. I can establish a program for diabetic retinopathy. I can introduce a program for ROP in my place of work. You know, so just in a summary, there are different settings, different environments, maybe just realizing what I can do in my own capacity. It can be what I can do with my team, or it can also be what I can do with my Minister of Health for the whole country. So we always paid attention to how to best introduce the skills and the resources so that would happen and the future for the patients and the whole community would be much brighter. So these are my phases in my life and different phases in, let's say, engaging in leadership programs. Thank you.
Niru?
Yes, thank you, Ivo. Those are really pearls, and I just want to add there are two thoughts that came out. I think it was Paul said something about, you know, he was really happy that someone took an interest in him when Gail sat him down, and I think that's the first step. And then the second thing that he said in his talk was that we're all leaders, or you're all leaders. And I think the first thing is that this program is really it's a message to build on what Ivo has just said, and that is that every one of us has the power and some sort of responsibility, and this forum and this platform is a way for, you know, organizations like the ICO, the All India Society, the AO, and all of the societies that are participating to say we're really interested in all of you who are watching as individuals, wherever you may be, whether it's, you know, you're a new graduate, you just out there starting practice, or whether you're part of a department, you've got a position and you're the head of a retina unit and you've got to make things happen, or whether you're in the OR and you need to figure out a way to work with the staff and the nursing team so that you can deliver the best care, or whether you're the president of an organization. So we're really interested in each one of you building you up, understanding that you hold the power, sort of putting this program together for you through the, through Professor Natarajan and all of this energy and all of the people that are participating, to let you know that it's really in your hands. And so this is our method really of saying we're interested. It's like watering a plant. If you give a little water to a plant, give it a little attention, amazing things will happen. It'll grow. And so we expect that the eye care community will grow. We expect that the eye care community will do better as a whole and as a group. And then through that, we expect that we will have better eye care and we will have more people seeing as a result of that. And so that's sort of my my take home from this panel. So thank you.
Thank you, Neeru and Ivo. So we have Sid he gave a beautiful talk. Sid, I don't know words to appreciate you.
Yeah, I just wanted to add a couple of things. The work that I've been doing with leadership development in Africa has really been very, very exciting. And one of the things I was going to say is, I think as a leader, a lot of times it's not so important to build from scratch. I think sometimes you can actually build on building blocks that have been put together by other people. And I think the situation in Africa is actually teaches us that. So again, Mike Brennan has been very instrumental with building leadership development throughout the world. And you can actually see his hand in Africa back in the 1990s when he and Bruce Pivey and doctors such as Kunle Hassan actually put together a group called the African Leadership Group that, they kind of started a mini LDP. And you look at the pictures of some of the graduates of that program, and they really are the preeminent ophthalmologists in Africa today. Now, that program, I guess, just went for a limited period of time. And then in 2012, when I graduated from the AO LDP, Mike and I actually sat down and talked, and I told him about my interest in global or international ophthalmology. And he told me, Sid, at some point I'm going to give you a call. And I didn't hear anything from him for a while. And then I think it was about 8 months later, he called me up. He's like, hey, Sid, we're doing a LDP session in Asia Pacific. Would you like to come? And sure enough, 6 weeks later, I was in Thailand. And that's actually, I think, when I got to actually meet Natarajan. So for a while, me and Mike and I and Gail and Linda Sai were traveling to Asia once or twice a year. And at the airport, Mike and I would sit down and talk, and we'd talk about Africa, how we really wanted to do a lot there. And in 2014, we were in Tokyo, Japan, and we ran into Kunle Hassan, Ibrahim Matende, who are some of the leaders in Africa, and they were very excited about starting something called the African Ophthalmology Council, but they were having a lot of trouble putting it all together. And so Mike and I actually volunteered to actually run a leadership symposium for them. And we did that in 2015. And at that meeting, we actually sold the idea of an LDP for Africa. And they bought it. And it was interesting. That meeting was in March of 2015. And I remember getting on the plane and being really excited about it. And then realizing, to my horror, that I actually had to put together a program in months. And we were able to do that. And again, the building blocks that Mike and the other doctors had kind of put together were important, because we were able to actually use some of those doctors as a faculty for our current AOC LDP. But I think the short of what I'm trying to say is, a lot of times as leaders, you don't necessarily have to rebuild everything from scratch. You can actually use building blocks of what other people have done in the past and use that to kind of propel your organization forward.
Yes, great points, Sid. And I think that's how I came to the AOC, to you, to the Ethiopia. And I think it's a great. And actually, I promised that I came to the AOC meeting in AO also and said, as part of the WOC, that I'll come and visit all the 52 countries in Africa. But now I think the COVID has tied me down. And I think after 5 months, no travel. Otherwise, I was traveling every 2 days. And I think you are the one who are following me. And glad. I think you point out like you put the points that every leader has to spread this world over. And I think more you give, more you get. And I think Mike's lesson is not for you, and it's for the others. So with this, I think we have we have time, and we expect all of you who can. I know Mike said he has the family to send them off to where they can visit him. So I think we others can stay back and sit particularly. And we have Dr. Ravi Goel from AAO, but I'm asking him to be a part of the AOS, and I'm glad Neeru and Ivo will be there. So I'm just sharing the screen. And so I'm happy the current leadership program is now conducted by Dr. Chitra Ramurthy. She's the chairperson of the Academic Research Committee, who's the medical director of the Eye Foundation. Dr. Chitra has been in private practice in ophthalmology in Coimbatore, working with her husband, Dr. Ramurthy, who was the past president of All India, and we have worked with him together since the 80s and since 90. After completing her PG, her areas of strength are cataract, refractive surgery, and glaucoma, and she has been abreast with all the premium procedures evolving over the years in each of these segments. She has been a pioneer in refractive surgery, performing refractive procedures since 97 in large numbers, inclusive of all the cutting-edge technology. She has had the special distinction of conducting a variety of instruction courses in both India and abroad, partaking in ACRS, APO, APSRS on a regular basis. She also has many papers to her credit and has contributed to chapters in textbooks on refractive surgery. I'm personally indebted to her because after she took over, the COVID is there, but she didn't give up. She has started the leadership program virtually for All India Ophthalmic Society, and I hope she will continue. And we have Dr. Namrata, and again, starting with N, and she is the person who always stay connected, and she works 24/7. And I think All India Ophthalmic Society is proud to have her as the honorary secretary, and she's a professor of ophthalmology for cornea, cataract, and refractive surgery, the India's premier center, the Rajendra Prasad Center for Ophthalmic Sciences, part of the All India Institute of Medical Science. She has got one of the highest number of peer-reviewed publications, about 440, and I salute her for her academic work. And in addition, she is also the secretary of the Eye Bank Association of India and also the secretary of Delhi Ophthalmic Society. I don't know how she manages, but amazing. I mean, today also she was managing 2-3 webinars, and thanks to her, the entire webinar today is because of her. We have Dr. Partha, who made a wonderful, the LDP, the chairman, Academic and Research Committee of All India is running the Leadership Development Program. And so I'm happy Partha did it. And before that, Dr. Ajit Babu did. He's a super specialist and an opinion leader in cataract and refractive surgery. He served as 6 years of as a Academic and Research Committee for All India Ophthalmic Society. And I think he's traveled the most in India. Maybe, I don't know whether he's traveled more or I have traveled more, but I think he competes with me. And I'm happy he picked up the leadership program and it's taken to a really a higher level. He's introduced competition between the participants. He's made a strict selection criteria. I'm happy he's handed over the lantern. And this is what I learned from Mike. And I'm happy Gail is there to watch and Cindy also seeing. And we have the next, is the leader, is the honorary treasurer, Dr. Rajesh Sinha, the All India Ophthalmic Society, professor of ophthalmology and cornea, cataract, and refractive surgery. He is the treasurer of the, and really looks after the society. And we have the incoming president, Barun Naik, my very old friend from Mumbai, that time in Bombay, and he's one of the, he served as the secretary also of the society, the president-elect of the All India Ophthalmic Society. And I've invited him as a faculty because we conduct every year one session in the V School of Management in Bombay. where he also comes as a faculty and gives a talk. Thanks to you, Varun. And he's a consultant ophthalmologist and head of the Department of Ophthalmology, MD from AIMS, fellowship in retina and vitreous from Perth in Australia, specialist in anterior segment surgery, phaco, glaucoma, cornea, and medical retina. Has authored several publications in Indian and international journals and a book on glaucoma. Now he's a glaucoma expert. So here we have many glaucoma, including our interim president, Neelu, who's a glaucoma person. And Dr. Naik was the editor of the Indian Journal of Ophthalmology for 6 years. And then now almost 10 years, he's the editor for the Journal of Ophthalmology from Maharashtra, which is made an index journal. And we are proud to have him here. And we have, I've included Ravi in the session, one because I didn't want to overcrowd the previous session. And idea he's a comprehensive ophthalmologist and he's a cataract surgeon, a regional eye associate and instructor in Wills Eye Hospital. He's the board of trustee of the American Academy of Ophthalmology, vice chair, AMA Ophthalmology Section Council. And the leadership program here is, we have all the leaders here. And I'm a fan of him. And I think somehow he finds me whenever I go to AO, and I'm there for it. Like, I'm happy to say that last 31st year, I'll be virtually there. So with this, I wanted Dr. Namrata to start the session. And so I actually requested to have Namrata to start the session by telling 2 examples of her things in the leadership and her experience as a leader in various societies in India. Namrata, you have to unmute. You have to unmute.
Thank you, Dr. Natarajan, for putting this webinar together. And we've been having a great session since 6 p.m., listening to all the world leaders. And we are thankful to the American Academy of Ophthalmology and International Council of Ophthalmology for putting it, for coming and collaborating with All India Ophthalmological Society. Thanks to the leaders there. So it has been a great session. As a leader, I think leadership is something that you have to earn, and it doesn't happen on its own. And that is something which you cannot demand, but which you have to command. And it best comes when people accept you as a leader out of respect and not out of fear. At some of the posts, you may be there by the virtue of being there, but then I think respect is something that should be there between the leaders and between the people who are working. Otherwise, things don't materialize. And we have All India Ophthalmological Society, several of the leaders who are already sitting before you, and more experienced people, I think, than me, who would be able to tell their experiences as a leader. As far as All India Ophthalmological Society is concerned, it's a large society with diverse states with more than 23,000 members, with several of the states managing committee members. So we have to take all of them together. And there are again various wings which work: academic and research committee, the editor proceedings wing, the editor journal wing, the chairman, the scientific committee wing. So all of us work in unison with each other, and I think that is why All India Ophthalmological Society is where it is. We acknowledge and we recognize the contributions of our people who have been at the helm of the affairs for last many years at the All India Ophthalmological Society, and it is courtesy them that we have a 5-floor building now. AIOS headquarter building, which is, there we have our own headquarter and official staff, and we conduct meeting which is attended by almost more than 8,000 or 9,000 members annually. And it has been a pleasure being associated with the society, and I'm sure with our senior people guiding us through, as well as our colleagues who are members of the various wings. The road is long, and we have to go ahead, and we will make it happen. I think next to American Academy of Ophthalmology, ours is the second largest society in terms of number of ophthalmologists, And as far as the life membership goes, ours is the largest society of life members of the ophthalmologists. So that is all I have to say, Dr. Natarajan.
No,
And
thank you. No, but I wanted to say we are following what Mike did for American Academy of having the WIO. WIO is Women in Ophthalmology. I was very happy when Professor Sharon Prabhakar invited me as a guest speaker in Academy in 2012, and I didn't know her. And she said, I know the work you've done, and your name is there in the alumni in the AAO LDP. And I'm happy every time, thanks to Gail, she puts one of the photograph of the LDP in the alumni photograph every year, and everybody will ask, who's this guy? I'm happy I look young, even though I graduated in 2005-06. And the other is, I think I'm happy, I forgot to acknowledge, Mike has come to All India Ophthalmic Society. Only Gail is not come still. And we had Dr. Ruth Williams, who's the past president, but she came as a trustee at large in 2006 Varanasi conference. And I'm happy with the ICO, and we had the ICO president and many, I mean, earlier Bruce Spivey as the president, and as well as Hugh Taylor. And I think the ICO is one thing about both ICO and AO, there's no senior junior, and I think whoever works well is great. So I think that's why here I don't want to say, I mean, I know India, we have this senior junior all the time. I know we have Dr. Barun Naik, who's the same age of mine or maybe a little elder to me, but I'm happy. So thank you, and thanks to Mike, because we are the first leader in lady leader. Now only Chitra has joined Namrata. Otherwise, till now we never had I think a female secretary, right, Namrata?
Yeah.
So you are the first female secretary.
I have to thank
three big organizations in India at a time, and a lot of people are jealous. I can say that.
No,
so
no.
I tell Namrata, Swami Vivekananda says, if somebody is criticizing you and they are jealous, that means you are doing an excellent job. Thank you, Namrata. So Gail, you want to say something? And Gail and Mike, we have a female leader in All India.
I would say it's about time. It's really wonderful. Well deserved.
Right. So next, I request Partha. Partha is the one who took LDP to a really great height in India. He has changed a lot of things. He has made practical outdoor LDP, which was not there when I was there. And I still go as a participant, and I want to be a participant. And I'm happy, learned from Mike, as he said, he doesn't look 77. And because he's training young people, he looks young. Same thing I think I'm learning. So I think I'm now trying to lead from behind, and I'm glad Partha is a great leader. Now he's our future leader for India also, but right now he's the chairman scientific committee, but he will tell his experience as when he took up as a chairman ARC and then took the leadership program. I still remember his first day. I don't know what is the LDP. Yes, Partha.
So thank you very much, Dr. Natarajan sir, and thank you everybody for having this wonderful webinar where across the globe we are discussing about so many different issues. And we look forward to this important 50 minutes that we need to exchange the ideas and where we need to tell you where we went wrong, what did we do right, and what were the experiments that really happened in the leadership development program. And first and foremost, I need to thank Dr. Natarajan sir, who actually brought leadership program to India and incorporated it into the curriculum of the ARC, the Academic Research Committee at AIOS. So it was a bud that gradually grew. And 6 years ago, when I took over as chairman ARC, and I asked that very pertinent question, what is this LDP, sir? So, and he was very nice to explain that we need to have leaders and we need to have people who have to take up responsibilities. It's not just important to be good ophthalmologists, but ophthalmologists also need to lead ophthalmology. So that was a very important thing that he's told me. And we looked at the curriculum we had at the Leadership Development Program. And it was a very important curriculum in a classroom curriculum with the V School in Mumbai, and which had been running for many years now. And when I first attended the first course, it was so important for us just to sit back and think, what are the common things, the common sense importance of ophthalmology, how to manage people, how to live with people, how to live with difficulties, how to overcome these difficulties, the economics of ophthalmic practice, and so many things that go into forming proper training, which unfortunately in our graduation and post-graduation, we have not been taught. So this was a big eye-opener to me, and we have continued the V-School Leadership Program, and Dr. Chitra is as of now continuing it. And we incorporated a very important program, and that was the Outbound Learning Program. And I just heard about Pegasus as a very good unit where they have an outbound learning, and I had a small experience for 1 hour with Pegasus as an outbound learning. That itself opened up my mind, and we asked Pegasus to give us 2 days of outbound learning. And this was very important for all our participants, and all our participants actually enjoyed this program and learned from the very, very small things. And here we had the benefit of Dr. Natarajan also being in the program. And it was through a series of small tasks and events that the teachers of the program, or our preceptors of the program, taught us what is the importance of a teamwork, how does one play with the other in a team, and how to bring the whole project forward if it is in the form of a project. So these are the small things that we have learned on the way, and the enthusiasm of our leadership program, the participants who come from all over the country, and they are nominated actually by the state, and each state at times have said we want to nominate more than 2, and it's an expensive program and borne by All India Ophthalmological Society, and the participants get the free access to this program. So we bear the expenses, but the benefit to our participants is huge, and each of these participants have gone back and have really made a mark in their own state societies and are in the process of grooming new leaders. And that's how the lamp has to go. One light lit, and that can light so many other lights on the way. And that's how leaders have to be groomed. Dr. Natarajan, Dr. Barun Naik, we have very senior leaders of ophthalmology in India, and we are extremely grateful to them for having led the way, not only led the way, but also passed on the baton to the next gen. And that's something that we also need to do in our time. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Partha. That's wonderful, and I think I'm happy you're giving the lantern to Chitra. So Chitra, can you say how you feel after getting elected this year, and that too in the March, and then you had the COVID now as a new office bearer, and I remember how you felt that the dreams were shattered, and how do you feel today?
Very special thanks to Dr. Natarajan for remembering us and including us in this very popular leadership program. And leadership, as he so beautifully said, is a trust which has been bestowed on us by the Society of Ophthalmic Fraternity, and the impact of it was something which was not as clear to me till I actually got to win the post. Probably the whole story started off by seeing how my husband, Dr. Ramurthy, did in his 10-year stint with AIOS, and how he flowered and how he enjoyed every second of it. And I'm sure it added great strength to his personality, and it had an impact on his day-to-day featuring in his work and further on. And the strive to get into this AIOS is a huge challenge. You know, leadership does not come easy when you're looking at a 22,000 to 24,000 ophthalmologists, each brilliant and exceeding in strength to the other. And that was a 3-year or probably even a 6-year strive as you climb from one lower post to the other. It's a matter of how you reach out to every single corner of the country, reach out to as many individuals you can, and ensure that you convey to them that you have noble thoughts, that you want to be a leader and do something a little more than all these terrific leaders which I see in front of me have done. So, and of course, the leadership development program, which is a part of ARC activity, was very beautifully started off initially by Dr. Natarajan, and then it went great steps under the stewardship of Dr. Partha. And I do believe that in my tenure, I do understand that it's a team of very young, dynamic people who believe that there is something which is going to take them forward where they are already ahead in their lives, but we would do something more for them. So of course, Corona hit the whole scenario soon after I came into this post, but webinars have been a great stand for us. And I do believe through it, I would ensure that the best of leaders, with the greatest ideas, more importantly, a lot of positivity and energy and drive would come and keep meeting this group of leaders who are part of our team, and we would take them forward. And of course, I'm sure every bad thing has an end, and I'm sure as the year would unfold, there would be many more opportunities or newer dimensions which I would like to add to this leadership development program, so that each of these leaders in this leadership development program go back to their society and do their very best, and probably remember me in the corner of their mind that I did help them to take those large strides further. Thank you, Dr. Natarajan.
Thank you, Chitra, for a wonderful thing. We have Dr. Varun Naik. He's the seasoned leader, I call him. And any task, we have taken up the task of changing the constitution of All India Ophthalmic Society. So it is like changing constitution of India, because 23,000 members, and we have a regulation where we have to get 13,000 members to give positive votes. So that's a big problem for us. So I have taken the challenge, and 2 days back he challenged me. If you're ready to work 15 hours a day, then I'll ask you to do the task. Otherwise, you quit, he told me. Otherwise, he said you'll quit. So after you, Varun. Mute. You have to unmute, Varun.
Sir, unmute, sir.
Yeah. Thank you, Dr. Natarajan, and good evening to everyone. And it's a wonderful experience being over here. And I'm really grateful to Natarajan who thought that I should be included in this program. And I'm really grateful to you, Natarajan. Now about leadership, there are certain things which I have my fixed ideas, which probably I found it on my own. Because what just now Dr. Natarajan said, that I said, because not even today, means 2 days back, but if he remembers correct, I think about 5 years back or something like that, or 6 years back in my house, we were sitting, and then he said, no, we can do it. Because I see everything in entirety and practicality. Then I analyzed it, and I said, it's just not possible. Then he said, no, I will do it. But he is in habit of including others also who are more capable, and he will include him. They say, you and me will do. But I know you and me is only for right now. Afterwards, we will go away, only you do.
You will be there.
So that's why basically he includes only those people who are really very hardworking. So I said, no, Nati, I'm out, because I know it is just not possible. Even if I spend not only 25 hours out of 24, still I cannot do it. It is just not possible. So I said, leave me out. He said, I bet. I said, yes, good. I am happy. At least Nati is going to lose one bet in his life. So that way I was happy. And so anyway, that is besides the point. That was something different off the track. But this real leadership, which I thought that probably I learned and got into this and understood this more deeply when I became editor of Indian Journal of Ophthalmology. Then it's not that in India, because all those who are from outside India, probably they will not realize the problems faced by and the challenges faced by the editors of Indian Journal of Ophthalmology. Indian Journal of Ophthalmology editors, because we are basically all in one. We have to arrange for finances ourselves. We are not paid anything. It's honorary job. Plus, we have to look after all aspects. All aspects means including from replying to the various queries and mails and other things with a small office that usually my own office, whatever I had in my hospital, with that staff only, I just increased one staff and hospital was kind enough to provide me that staff also. So with that, I just tried to manage, and somehow or other I could manage it. But finances is a big issue, because that is very difficult to understand for others, because other editor for any foreign journal, they have to just look after only the editorial job, nothing else. And all system is in place. Here we have to make the system. That system also you cannot transfer it to the next person. So the previous editor who was server was there, means just I got some guideline, but nothing was transferred so far as the system was concerned. So I thought I should make a system. But in that direction, I went moving ahead. And also because, see, I also realized that there is a lack of information about the writing articles, understanding and doing research. So then that lacunae, I thought first, let me fill that lacunae. With that idea, I started research methodology workshop, and I am so glad that it was taken up very sportingly by everyone all over the country. People now, I didn't even remember all those who attended, but sometimes now they come and tell me that they are all big professors in big institutions. They say, sir, I attended your program. And so really it gives me some kind of satisfaction. And so those things which I took over, and then that really transformed to some extent, definitely the understanding and about the writing articles and doing research in India. So that was one aspect. But the other issue which probably I always think means for leadership, what it should be, that if a person is sincere and selflessness, if working with selflessness, and you think of the society with this association for which you are working, then probably you are a true leader. And also you should have vision, because mostly I also sometimes I am taken as that I am really harsh on certain words. But what I see that everyone thinks, oh, he was doing 10 programs, let me do 15 programs. So I will say earlier 10, now 15, and I'll show a graph, something like that. But according to me, is it useful? If it is useful to the audience, to the majority, definitely do it. Also identify the audience, that which audience this program is basically focused on, and basically then accordingly plan your program or chart your program to suit that particular audience. So which sometimes I feel that leader should have, but it is majority it is missing. And you should have a vision not only, as I said, that only for conducting program from 10 to 15, some new program. Earlier only there were 4 programs, now I am doing 7 programs. That is not the real leadership. The leadership is something, if you have a vision, if you think for long term, because now with the help of all those leaders who are sitting there, now I am going to be the president of AIOS. But everyone asks me, sir, what is your plan for your term? So you must do this, you must do this. My answer, simple answer is that I don't have big plans. I want to make the system right. I have a vision that if I can put the system in place, probably I have done a great job. And at least the system which I can put in place, which for next 15 years, no one can destroy or distort, probably I will be the maximum satisfied person once I retire from that post. So with these thought process, I think nothing more. And no one should, any leader, if he thinks that I should be getting some personal gain, the moment you think it, then there is no difference between a politician and our leadership. So although we are supposed to be an educated society, highly educated society, but in that thinking process, really there is no difference. So with this, I think I'll not give a big sermon. I'll just stop here, because I know some people will be getting uncomfortable. It's not sitting over here, but then someone who is listening also this program. So that's why I'll stop here, because more I speak, more unpopular I'll become. Thank you.
No. You are very popular, because Dr. Mac had made
You are most popular.
Yeah. No,
and sorry, one correction which I said, Natti, you said Namrata is the first lady leader. No. Anita Panda was the first lady president of the ICO. So how did you forget that?
No. Sudha Sutaria was the first president. I'm not talking.
Sutaria was there, and yes.
Sudha Sutaria.
Sudha Sutaria. So no, I'm having a track record. No, I said first lady leader because of secretary.
It's only secretary is leader. President is no leader. Wow.
No, I'm not telling like that. We didn't have the secretary at all, I think. So now we'll have I'm keeping Ravi as the trump card. So next is I want Rajesh, is I think the youngest in the group today.
Thank you, Dr. Natarajan. A very good evening to all of you. And I was just wondering that, as Dr. Partha was also telling, I also used to feel that why do we need to have an LDP program to make leaders? Because most of the leaders, they have something in them that drives them to become leaders, and they lead from the front, and they basically like to be the torch bearer. And so what is there to learn? But then with time, as I grew and as I took more and more responsibilities, I felt that leadership is not about leading, but leading by example, and take the team along. And for every leadership, we should have goals. And as Dr. Nayak was telling, that, we all should have proper goals, and we should be honest about our work. So I also feel that we should have goals, and but then we can't have a goal, a very long-term goal starting from now. Maybe we can divide targets in between so that we can achieve the goal. So that, and I guess there is a lot of things you learn in your towards leadership. So I guess once somebody, if attaining a post, taking a post is not about leadership. Actually, it's what you learn and how you encourage your team and how you become a team man is what leadership about. I mean, that's what I have learned so far, that that is something that one should think about, that how you can be a team man, how you can encourage your team to succeed. Succeeding yourself is not the goal for a leader, but the success of the team is the goal for the leader. That is what I have gradually learned with time. And maybe, with time, I may become even wiser, watching people like Dr. Natarajan, Dr. Barun Nayak, and so many other leaders who have spent years, spending so much of time and so much of effort they have done in improving things in every aspect of our society, in improving things in every aspect of patient care. And I won't go into too much of details of all these, but this is what I have felt so far in life, that there's a lot of things are there to learn even now. And I guess maybe I can say that, willingness to learn is perhaps leadership, or understanding that something is still missing and we have to improve further and go ahead with that is leadership. I don't know, but yes, with time I'm learning, and I guess with even leaders like you who are, torch bearers, who are guiding force, who encourage young people to, do good things in life, is something that, will be imbibed by most. And that's how you are producing good leaders, and that's how I can improve in my leadership skills. Thank you, Dr. Natarajan, once again for, allowing me to speak in this wonderful forum wherein we have such wonderful leaders who have loads of experience and who have, worked as leaders for years and years and have encouraged so many people to become leaders. Thank you.
I think you don't have to thank, but we want people like you, the youngest in our governing council of all India, to lead. Everybody, that's the problem of India. We have a senior and junior. I think that's what I learned from America. Everybody is equal. Like whoever works well is great. So I think that's what Northern America has taught me, and I think I'm glad that I'm a part of that. And that's why I encourage. And the whole program I've aimed at inspiring some young ophthalmologists somewhere in the world. So I'm happy if you are inspired. So next we have another young ophthalmologist, Ravi, who's a firebrand ophthalmologist of American Academy.
Thank you, Dr. Natarajan. I want to thank you for organizing this wonderful program today. I was in the Leadership Development Program #6 for the Academy, and I thought I was the only person for whom the LDP changed their life. And it was nice to sort of hear other speakers today make the same statement. When I was in the LDP program, we had to do a project, which was a year-long project, and we had an individual goal. My goal at the time, optometrists wanted to do lasers at the VA in the United States. And my project was to create a presentation to help educate politicians on the dangers of doing that. A few weeks after I started my project, I was asked to go to Washington, D.C. to present my project to members of Congress. So that became a unique opportunity, which Mike Brennan flew in from Afghanistan, I remember, from Iraq, to come watch me make that presentation. The point is that when you get that call, when you get the tap, when someone calls you to say, hey, we need you to step up, we need you to close your practice, we need you to advocate for patients, we need you to advocate for the profession, that hopefully you'll step up. So to the 5,000 attendees to this program, the young ophthalmologists, I would say, concentrate on your studies, concentrate on your residency, concentrate on your fellowship. But at some point, 2, 3, 5, 10 years from now, someone will tap you on the shoulder and say, hey, we need you to step up as a leader to advocate for your patients, for your practice, and for your profession. So another thing that I would like to leave you with, and I'll make a very just a short comment, is that I'd encourage young ophthalmologists and those in practice to create atomic habits, create small what James Clear calls atomic habits. For the last 63 days, every day I've watched a TED Talk on leadership or on some new idea. So I was particularly excited to hear Mimi Donaldson speak today because literally for the last few years I've enjoyed TED Talks, but I said, you know what? Every day I want to learn a new pearl. Every day I watch a cataract surgery. Every day I want to learn a pearl to make myself better along the learning curve, not only as a surgeon, but also on the learning curve as a citizen and in life. I love the fact that the phrase servant leader was used by the first speaker this morning on meditation, because I think that we are a group of like-minded individuals who've come together to move the profession forward and hopefully to move ophthalmology forward. So servant leadership is a concept that not everyone's aware of, but I would encourage folks to look into servant leadership, because I think that is what ultimately makes us better leaders. And every act of leadership that we perform, I think, helps ourselves spiritually and to move forward. So with that, I'll conclude.
Oh, I'm glad, Ravi. I thought you will put the picture with Barack Obama, but you put the picture with me. Thank you. So great. So I think Ravi is a great leader, and I think even this time on June 3rd, when the American Academy talked about George Floyd's death, and then the riots happened, and then rubber bullet, I think he took the leadership and quoted the 2016 New York Times article where I had on the front page, and I think I didn't do anything for that, and I only did. So that's what I think. I went to Kashmir and did. I was not afraid of anything, and that's what I learned from Swami Vivekananda. When there was like the same thing, Mike doing it in Iraq and Iran and everywhere. And I remember telling him, why not you train ophthalmologists from Afghanistan? And I still remember, because we call them Pathans in India. I mean, they are tall and hefty. Even the patients, they look like that. I have to look up. And so I was wondering, how do we deal? But I'm happy. I mean, I learned that now I don't have fear for anything. I mean, I've operated patients from the IPKF in Sri Lanka, then in Blue Star operation in Amritsar in 1984. And then now in Kashmir, and I see happening in Chile. So I think we have to, I think that's what I have told Nehru, that we'll work on a thing on ICO, on our stand on ophthalmologists. What we have to do advocacy where everywhere the law is different. In India also it's a big problem, where they have all called the pellet and the rubber bullet as non-lethal, but I think it's blinding. Yes, Ravi.
Yeah. I mean, I would just mention on that. I mean, we really look to your experience in India and in Kashmir, and also to our colleagues in Chile. When the protests were happening in the United States, this was a fast-moving article, and this was a fast-moving movement with the rubber bullets and the tear gas. We were finding that citizens were being blinded every day. It doesn't matter, and Dr. Natarajan and I have spoken to reporters about this, it doesn't matter which side of the political aisle you are on anywhere in the world. Our common mission is protecting sight. And I think that I would encourage colleagues around the world to develop, not only to embrace the Academy's mission of protecting sight, but also to develop your own personal mission statement. These types of stories, they are 3-day stories or 5-day stories. So as ophthalmologists, we need to embrace these fast-moving stories, these fast-moving events, because we are the experts in the field. And politicians, citizens, everyone will look to us to give them guidance, and again, to protect sight and power lives. So I think that, so I look to you, and when I posted that on my personal blog, I'm on the Academy's communications committee, the Academy picked it up, and it ended up snowballing in a positive way.
Yes, and so Mike and Sid, you have to say something on the leadership happening in India. Mike, you have a problem with the microphone, or say Cindy? Cindy can help us, and maybe Sid.
Okay, very good. Yeah, so Natarajan had invited me to attend the All India Ophthalmology Society, LDP. I haven't been able to do it, but as soon as COVID is over, I promise you I will make it there to participate.
Yes, Cindy? You have to unmute. No, yes.
All right, I'm sorry. Now what?
No, your comments about leadership in India.
So that would be fun. I think you've invited me before to go there. Never been to India, but what you have done there has been fantastic. And it's nice to see the leadership is changing throughout that program. And you've made some huge impacts.
Thanks. That's what, as Ravi said, that was a project I took when Mike gave and Gail, that I should start a national leadership program. And I think I'm fortunate I'm the only, from a single country organization, I'm the only one trained in AO. So I'm fortunate. After that, I think the applications were too many, and now you have only supranational and no national taking part. And I'm always grateful to ICO and AO. And because of and I think our first speaker said, stay connected. And because of the connected with them, I think we have academic sessions in AO. And I had a 200 years of a session in the last year in the Academy. It was well attended in the room, thanks to Academy for all the support. And 2007, they did it. And I think I wish all of you we can keep exchanging. And one day I want Gail to come and inspire the young ophthalmologists here. And I'm happy Neeru and he was visited earlier, I think, not during last time, but Peter Whitman was a president and Neeru as a vice president has come. And then Bruce Spivey as a president, and also Hugh Taylor as a president of ICO has come and blessed All India. So, and this time, Bruce Spivey inaugurated the Ophthalmology Museum in 2019 when I took over. I'm glad he was there when I took over. And Neeru was there when I took over as the president. I'm happy. I had about 100 countries representing, and when I took over as the president. And I worked 365 days, and I think I traveled 91 cities, 15 countries, and gave some 100 talks. So I think maybe I enjoyed it. And I think it was like every day getting up at 2 o'clock in the morning, catching a flight, and almost couldn't operate much, but I did that also. And then I think I think I'm enjoying giving to others. And as Mike said, it's not for compliment. I think we are beyond that. Like now we have Mike, and I wish Mike to be there for 100. Mike?
Oh,
again you have to press.
You hear me?
Yes, yes.
Admin, please unmute. Yeah, admin.
Yes, we can hear you, Mike. Oh no! Again, you have to press I think.
Now you can hear me.
Yes, yes.
Can you hear me?
Very well.
Thank you. Thanks very much. I'm going to quickly say before I lose my voice bar here, I want to thank Gail in particular for being with us. The role of the executive is critical. I think that stands out. She's been a lifelong friend. And along with Cindy, we would like to say that Dan Bryceland should be here with us. Most of you know him and how valuable he's been to the program historically and continually, no question. Sid, thanks. I was waiting for maybe a scuba diver to crawl out and take you by the neck. That's a great looking picture you have. And I want to close, I guess, by saying that Sid and Niru would endorse the idea that there's more to be done in Africa. There's no question that leadership development needs to be stimulated in Africa. Don't forget about Central Asia and the Middle East. Those are two other relatively underserved areas for our service and our contribution. They need to lead, but we need to be there by their side. I'll thank everyone for the opportunity to be with you. I'll apologize for my voice, and thanks, Natarajan.
No, thank you, Mike, for a wonderful, and thank all of you. I mean, it's like I'm attending an alumni. I'm glad, and I want, as an ICO board of trustee member, I wanted to initiate this with all across the borders, and I think that's what I wanted, and I'm happy I could establish. And we have another 4-hour session tomorrow. And anybody else like to say before our president interim of ICO will do the last part? But yeah, I can see Sydney putting his hand up.
Dr. Natarajan, I just want to thank you so much for hosting this. With the program in Africa, I mean, we had put it on hold after COVID hit, but this has been very, very inspiring. It's inspired me to restart the AOC, the African Ophthalmology Council, LDP. So I just really want to thank you for this really great program. Really good content, great speakers. I've really enjoyed it.
Sid, I have a suggestion. I can co-volunteer with you and do the AOC leadership online.
Then let's do that. We'll do it together. How about that?
And then I have a suggestion to both ICO and AO. Why not we do a paid leadership program so that the value goes up, whereas the content writing, and I think we have Gail and Niru to comment on that. But anyway, we can't decide. I know we have to do a lot of planning and a lot of things. I think I feel AO and ICO to come together and make a paid leadership program for who wants to aspire to do something for their country. And it's not just individual. I think it has to be their commitment to serve the country, whichever country they want. And maybe the country society can sponsor them.
So I too want to say thank you to everyone here. It's a family. Thank you, Dr. Natarajan. Thank you to the global community that logged in, and I'm aware that we have people from both continents. We have from Asia, from Africa, from North America, from South America, Europe, and so we're very happy with this. Happy to be doing this, the launch with the All India Society. Namrata, thank you so much for all your support. Chitra, it's so nice to be able to see you in this way. And Barun, wishing you the best of luck in your preparatory phase after listening to you for a short time. But the ICO really looks forward to rolling out more collaborative programs that are in the spirit of stimulating leadership across the globe. This program was very unique, I must say. I'm very glad to have the program start with such illuminating, inspiring talks, and it's a reminder that we need to take some time to get away from all the busyness of our heads and to take some calm and breaths and to focus on what's important. And I just want to thank all of you on behalf of the ICO for logging in, but he sends, he's very happy to have been a part of this program And so on behalf of the ICO, thank you to all of you, all of the wonderful speakers today, and on all topics. So thank you very much. And it's not over. There's still another day tomorrow, so stay tuned.
Thank you.
Thank you, Nadi.
And
Thank you.
of AOS, you want to say something, Namrata?
I think we can
For
think
our India.
no. So it's a great platform. It's a great webinar to have this, because I'm sure all the ophthalmologists, member ophthalmologists would be listening to this along with the international counterparts, and this will also be available at a later date. So it's a good resource to have, and for people who've not been able to see it now, I'm sure they will find time to see it.
You is connecting. I hope we can.
There he is. I see him.
Yeah, you're able to,
there.
I can say that he's trying to connect. I hope he will join. But in the meantime, on behalf of ICO and AOS and AAO, I thank each and everyone from Mike, Gail, Cindy, Sid, Paul, Ravi, our own India, Chitra, Barun, Partha, and Rajesh Sinha. And I think special thanks to Evo and Neeru. I'm in multiple platforms, so we had some problem. I think his computer crashed. I'm glad my computer worked. That's why I started the day with prayer, and it works. And I think that's why we are only talking spiritual, and we want to. Is Evo there? No. So anyway, thank each and everyone, really from bottom of the heart. And I think it's really a great pleasure. And I think I only want to conclude by saying I'm enjoying doing this because it's not sacrifice. I'm learning something. Is what is learning is. I think I'm gaining happiness, and this is what you give more, you get more happiness. So I think I'm happy with Gail's statement, and I think I'm happy to all the time show my teeth, and it's contrast, and I think it helps. Thank you all. Thank you, Raman, and thank you, Rahul, and thank you, Ashiana. She's not here. I hope she's listening in the thing. Who was helping me day to day, and my executive Lakshmi. I think. She really, I troubled her day and night. I think, I think I've troubled many people, including Mike and Evo, and also Neeru. Thank you all. And thanks for tolerating my question all the time questioning. And I'm happy to be a child to ask questions to all of you. Thank you. Thank you all.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you all.